radio impulses into space. And all necessary heard on every radio telescope on the entire
Did you think it was?
Hopefully you can hear me. This may be set up correctly. We'll find out in a minute. And hopefully this is not too loud. Can you hear it? Dundermark, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Can you hear that? Is it good? Hopefully the soundtrack is not too loud. Yes, of course, that's on YouTube. No, it's not their video. Volrap. Get in. Thank you very much for the sub. Massively appreciate it. Of course, Bit and Cake in the chat. 30-month self-anniversary. Nice. I've got to take this off, actually, because every time I snap my fucking fingers, my chain goes flying across my fucking wrist. Dump that. We'll keep the other one on, though. Thank you very much for joining. How you doing? Have you seen the salt already? Yes, I know it exists. It's one of those things that you have to get used to. Apparently, stupid prevails. So what can you do? Hype train already? You're fucking kidding me. So, people, first of all, welcome to the stream. Secondly, my fucking screen is really dark today. I think it's the white. It contrasts and reflects off of the fucking screen and then fucks everything up. Don't worry. Anyway, welcome to the stream. Today is a special day. That's why we got this, because we need it. So, I did do lots of stuff and things today. I did go out, had a couple of beers with my dad just to kind of ready myself for this kind of shit, although that was about 4 hours ago, so we're good, we're sober now. I have to prepare myself for this shit, because although this is a very exciting time for me and lots of other people as well, thousands of people in fact, it is also quite stressful for some people because they listen to stupid. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over the actual patch notes themselves, gauge what the intention is, and then if we have time we'll go on to the PTS. If not, you'll see me on PTS throughout the week, or you'll see videos on YouTube anyway, demonstrating the actual things. Cool, thank you very much. I'm trying to tell my fan at me. Hold on, I'm trying to tell my fan at me. Claw, thank you very much, by the way. Massively appreciated. Beer and cake in the chat. Also, Bolrath is the Dragonborn, and the hype train has started already. Hadn't even read anything yet. Oh, man. You know the rules. People to fight starts again from scratch. If you kill the Dragonborn, you'll take their place to stream. I have to kill you instead. Thank you very, very much indeed. It is the Natch Poach Day. This is correct. It is one of those days where stress happens. Can you hear the Elder Scrolls music in the background? If you can, we're good. If you can't, then rip. So yes, we are going to go over the stuff and things. We are going to read them. Yes, I've vaguely been over them myself, but just bear in mind, I'm reading these live. This is a live stream. Sorry if that's confusing. Which means, while I'm reading them, if you have already read that part, shut your lips. That's the politest way I can do it. Because it's not your stream, and it's not correct for you to shout over top of the person presenting the information. If you would like to talk about the information I'm currently on as I get there, perfectly fine. But if you try to jump ahead of me for attention, the mods will nuke you because it's rude. So I appreciate excitement, but let me fucking get there, basically. It's like you're trying to announce something. There's some new news. It's your channel. You're going to say some stuff and things about your day, and somebody saw you earlier. And they go, I saw you earlier. You did that thing. Thanks, mate. I was going to explain that. Cheers. Any of that will be quietly moved to one side. But if people play nice and they talk about it while I'm there, great, not a problem. We can discuss things. Just bear in mind, this is stressful as fuck, and I have to go through the shit. This is supposed to be white and it's showing up grey because the green screen is fucking with all the lights and everything, so it looks like I'm in a fucking really dark corridor, and I'm actually not. It's just a reflection, don't worry. No spoilers. Correct, no spoilers. I will get there. If you already read the patch notes, that's good for you. Do not get ahead of the stream. Zai is reading them, and our hammer is blunt as fuck. Oh, man. And, of course, because it's a stressful time and an exciting time as well, we have to make sure we get in the good stuff. So this is here. We are having it today. It is going... Well, we'll do it on stream. I could have opened this before the stream, by the way. I left this closed for the benefit of you. Hear that? Now listen very carefully. You can hear beer being poured. I've been really good with beer, actually. Apart from today. Sitting in this chair 12 to 18 hours a day, which most people don't see, does take its toll. So, fitness is something that you can't always fit in. However, I decided to take a little bit of a change as far as that's concerned. Because this is about as personal as you're going to get. A long time ago, I was extremely fucking active. I used to do kickboxing, extreme martial arts, and taekwondo. Also going to the gym all the time. Also swimming and basketball and all that kind of stuff. So there you go. You got some insight. And I used to do about 16 lessons of martial arts a week. So I was very, very active. Long story cut short, the last 5 years have been basically me sitting in a chair. So I slipped. So as of the last 2 weeks, I decided to get back into fitness. And 2 weeks in, 5 pounds fucking down. Feel like a superhero, eating properly. But today is a cheat day because today is beer. I've been good with it. But patch notes require beer, so why not? For those who crybabies who aren't supposed to listen to, you're not supposed to listen to any crybabies. Was the beer nerfed? No, the beer is still good. Even Xynode Ninjas, pour your Xynode Gamer blankets and pour yourselves an adult beverage because you're going to read... A what? What did I miss there? You're going to... Oh, the bot got it. It doesn't matter. I'm going to read it. Because Zai is going to read bedtime, I mean patch notes, and try to calm your tits. This is true. The hype train failed, but it doesn't matter. We've got beer, so we're all good. Look at that! Thank you very much. Mate, you're a legend. Now, just bear in mind, of course, while we're getting all hyped up about it, we're 9 minutes hyped so far. Some stuff I am going to skip over. It's not that it's irrelevant. Don't drink, so I have pizza. That is also fair. There's just the same amount of carbs. No trouble. It's Italian salad, by the way, Platts. Pizza is not pizza. Pizza is a bad word. Pizza makes people feel happy because they want one, but sad because they shouldn't. You say Italian salad, everybody wants to be healthy. Eat as much Italian salad as you fucking want. I will skip over some stuff because some of it is a little vague. So if it's like that one quest that lots of people have to do, but that one quest that you haven't seen forever is now fixed. That's a good thing, but it's not the main impact of the overall changes. So I'm going to go over the main impact of things. The main features that we're going to gain. So we'll get started. Pizza is an open face hot pocket. That also works as well. It is an Italian salad. I mean, you could have loads of stuff in there if you wanted to, and salad's usually your choice what you put in it. But basically, let's go for the basics, shall we? Let's go with peppers and onions and some cheese and some tomato and maybe even some spinach if you feel like it. And it all sounds like we're making a nice healthy meal. And then you stick it on a big, round, flat, exotic piece of bread. And then you have a pizza. Or you could call it what it's really called, which is an Italian salad. And that's fine. So don't worry. My daughter used to call them Italian tacos. We're not far off, dude. We're not far off. Let's scroll down a bit and answer some of this stuff. So, you know there's a new DLC. You know there's going to be 2 dungeons, but different to the previous patches. This is not just about the dungeons. Obviously, we've got a base game alteration to stuff and things. But at the same time as the usual dungeons with 3 sets in each dungeon plus the monster set, we do actually have some more PvP sets coming at the same time. Usually extra sets, overland sets, all that kind of stuff normally comes in on the last DLC of the year or into the chapter. They've stepped outside of that and decided to add a bit to this DLC. Sorry, DPS. That's a sore subject. But they've added some to the DLC so that you have something for everyone. Not just dungeons, because we hear the fucking noise. We know as creators, and of course the devs know this as well. It's not that PvP is ignored, it's that most people ignore the stuff for PvP. However, every time there is an update for PvP, it's normally just palmed off and like, oh, they never do anything for us. Well, here's the thing for you. No, you never do anything. Whatever. This time round, it's not just a PvE update. There are some PvP bits and pieces as well, so that'll be quite interesting. They are going to push more for that in the future, which is really, really fucking cool, but that remains to be seen, so we'll look forward to that in the future anyway. You don't drink between drinks. Good plan, Juno. Good plan. Wife brought simple Kraken rum back from Portugal. I might need to sample it. You do need to sample it, and DJ, be careful, because those bottles are sketchy. So, I mean, for the sake of your own household, to make sure nobody else gets ill, you might have to test it all. And then, if you're safe afterwards, good job. I love the way you look at things. I'm tired of people crying about changes. Yeah, we'll get there. Don't worry. And thank you. Who we got? Tyrannel, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. We need a shout out in the chat, indeed. Don't cry, baby, indeed. So let's see what we've got. We've got 2 new dungeons, which is Earthen Root Enclave and Graven Deep. And then you call that Graven Dip. We can't see those right now, but we will. So don't worry about that. Good advice. Excellent. Entrance in High Isle.
Drinks all around.
In the entrances west of Coral Road Way Shrine, so you know where that is if you've seen it before. And Graven Deep is located in the southern Amenos of the dock of Amenos Station. So bear in mind, there are certain locations on the map that you have to go to get them. You can go to the entrance, or you can just click straight on it. Samuki, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Both dungeons include normal versions in addition to a challenging veteran version. Each dungeon features challenging hard modes for each of the 3 boss encounters. So that is something that has become a bit standardized now. When they first introduced the hard modes for dungeons, they weren't sure whether they wanted to have 2 dungeons per patch, with 1 with all 3 and 1 with just the last boss. And it turns out that people like the secrets and they like the hard modes. So now we've got a combination of the 2. There are unique item sets, including 2 new Undaunted Monster Mask sets, only available within the dungeons. Achievement awards are available for completing the dungeons, including body markings and face markings, memento, several titles, and unique housing items. Also, we're now going to get onto the sets, because that's the important stuff. We'll go through the sets first, then we'll get into combat stuff. Kraken isn't that good. Kraken's awesome. Dude, if every nightclub you go to sells Captain Morgan and one of them sells Kraken, you're staying in that club for the rest of the night. There are people that don't drink all the Kraken at once. Yeah, that's wrong. I actually have... No, I moved it. I have a ceramic bottle of that shit. It's really good. Right. Here we go. So, Stone's Accord, a light set. Magicka. Healing Done and Magicka. So Healing Done is basically any heals that you do. It doesn't matter whether it's on you or somebody else. Healing Done is the spell that you fire and then adds to its strength. On healing with an area of effect skill, apply Minor Berserk, just like Combat Prayer, and Minor Resolve, again, just like Combat Prayer, to healed allies within 4 seconds. A healed ally already has Minor Berserk or Minor Resolve from Stone's Accord. Restore Magicka instead. The restore can only occur once every 5 seconds. So that's a recovery set for people. Basically, if you already have this running from a previous tick, so something that fires every 2 seconds, this will constantly keep an uptime, which is quite nice. You've got that there all the time. You don't have to force yourself to use a specific skill like you did before. Before was combat prayer. Now you could just get off healing springs. So you don't need to slot 2 skills. Handy. And in the meantime, you get magicka back. So that's basically a Master's Resto without the need to use anything other than 1 fucking skill. So Master's Resto plus that set would be disgusting to double dip. Good, thank you. Hope you're well. Come to listen to the nice, sensible patch note reading to wash off the toxicity. Look, I got this just for today. I'm just saying. I already had a couple earlier. However, I've been away from beer for like 4 hours, so we're fine. Medium set. Again, this one has some potential because it's a buff and resource management set. Again, if you stack that with a master set, as long as it does actually stack, then you just have to cast healing springs and people can never run out of juice. The only issue I have with this is it only gives back magicka, which is a little naughty. In the hybridization side of things, I don't think that should give back just magicka. Maybe half that and give both magicka and stamina, or just give both full stop and make sure that the timer is only a few seconds rather than 5. Maybe like 1 or 2 seconds, like 2 ticks would be more than enough, or maybe even more of it, but just half it, whatever. Again, it's on paper, we'll have to test it. Medium, offensive pen, offensive pen. Why would you need that on a medium setup? Because if you're not using any light armor, you don't benefit from the light armor passives for penetration, so therefore you can fill the gap with basic stats from your set. However, you could find it elsewhere depending on your group. Crit chance, and when you deal damage with a heavy attack, heavy attacks are important. They're base game mechanics, you learn it at level 3. If you've forgotten how to use them, it's your fault. Don't worry, I've got a guide for that. Put beginner in the chat. When you deal damage with a heavy attack, you create a 12-meter area for 12 seconds that grants empower to allies inside, increasing the damage of their light and heavy attacks by 1,800. This effect can happen once every 8 seconds. Jumping ahead a little bit, if that's what Empower is supposed to be doing on this set, that is going to be the change overall for Empower further down the list. Instead of 40% increase, that's now 1.8 as a flat bonus. That, however, is basically group elegant. Not bad, but unless they drastically change Gallonway, I don't see that being useful. Honestly, just being straight up. We'll have to test it, sure. And I haven't gone all the way through the patch notes yet, so they might have changed Gallonway still. No spoilers if you've already read it, by the way. We're keeping up as we go. But if they do introduce this, that would delete the point of Gallonway, unless the intention is for those of you that don't do trials and don't have access to Gallonway, in which case that would make sense. So Elegant is more viable. No, it's less viable because you should put this on instead. Instead of having your own Empower, motherfucker, put this on and give it to your group. Tipper! I can't believe you're that selfish. Heavy. Stamina, magic, and health. Basic stuff. Cool. When you deal direct damage to a taunted target, so that could be a bash or a light attack or just another taunt, you restore stamina and magicka. This effect can happen once every 2 seconds. Do you know what you do there? Heavy attack. Heavy attack gives you resources back. You're not going to light attack once every 2 seconds. You're going to do it every second. What a waste. Every second light attack is going to not give you resources back, and it's going to leave you wide open. Heavy block. Heavy block. Basic resources back from your basic combat stuff that you get as a character, and also that in return. Not a bad one. But again, not far off what we've already got when you look at stuff like, oh my god, I've forgotten the fucking name. There's one that gives you extra resources back if you heavy attack while something's taunted. It's a Fang Lair or something or other, I don't remember. But one of those. We've already got one of those. Again, this is... Putting it in a dungeon means it could just go to the other dungeon instead. I like the idea of the set. I like the resource gain, although it does give magicka as well, whereas the other one just gives you flat resource for the weapon type you're using. Change that. Anyway, next, offensive penetration, first off, which is nice for a one-piece bonus. And when you deal damage with a heavy attack, after 1.2 seconds, deal shock damage to up to 6 enemies within a 7-meter cone on your target. Applying major vulnerability to them for 7 seconds, increasing the damage enemies take by 10%. And this effect can occur every 15 seconds and scales off of your higher weapon or spell damage. So the damage we'd need to see. This bit here. It doesn't state the flat amount, so we'd have to see that on the PTS and we'd have to test it. The damage might be incredibly high. It might be terribly low. Adding another set with major vulnerability is not a negative because we do have it on a kind of tanky set. And now we've got it on a more whatever the fuck you want set, only 2 pieces, which is nice. The 7-second duration is not that much of a problem alongside the 15-second cooldown because you're going to have an 8-second gap. But if you use a Nazare, then of course you could just hit the fucking targets with that with an ultimate and you could extend the length of this anyway. So you could have this in your group plus Nazare in your group and now people don't have to use Turn and Tide. Again, it's a conal effect, so it's multiple targets. Debuffs generally only hit 6 targets anyway, so it's hit and miss. It depends on your overall setup. Again, I do feel like this is something that is really cool. That it's a 2-piece set instead of 5. A good option if you don't want to use the 5 or that application of it, but I do think it's a little bit samey. Most of these, we'll have to look further into the patch notes, obviously, and we'll have to test it, but most of these look like things we already have. They'll have to have some substantial changes to some of the sets like Turn and Tide, Gallonway, Elegant, and also the... Oh, God. What the fuck is that gargoyle's name in Scalecaller Peak? I forgot his name. The gargoyle. Dolomesh? That one. They'll have to consider those sets if they're going to make this work. Because none of those are necessarily massively appealing versus what we have. On their own, they do look kind of cool. We'll have to see. Finished making a Bobby build last night. Super fun. Well done, sir. Another banging build. You are welcome and thank you very much. Let's see what we've got here. I mean, as a monster set, that's OP as fuck. Because now you can take off Turn and Tide. But I don't think their intention is to delete a set that's already working. We'll see. Grave Inevitability. Crit chance. Weapon and spell damage, crit chance. Standard shit for light armor. Just the same as Skaven Mage. Apart from they have Magicka, I think, instead of weapon and spell damage. Dealing damage with a light or heavy attack grants you a stack of Remorseless for 5 seconds. Up to 5 stacks. Okay, so 25 seconds, basically. Up to once every 0.5 seconds. So you can do that really, really quick. Although there is a global cooldown for lights and heavies. Unless it works for a lightning staff, which is every single tick. Or a resto. So we'll have to see. While you have 5 stacks, you generate an aura of focus, granting you major force, increasing your critical damage by 20%. While you have an aura of focus, allies within 12 meters gain minor force, increasing their critical damage. I see what they're doing. So Beast Trap is incredibly fucking strong, but a staple. It is something that you expect to use, unless you're clever enough to use Twilight in your group, and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe it. That skill exists. That set exists. Yes, it does. This is group minor force. We do have it with Twilight, like I said. You have to take a synergy for that, and you know most people don't take a fucking synergy because they're told to, and they don't do what they're told. That could be quite helpful. Not to mention, of course, it doesn't look like it has a cooldown. It has a stack amount, which might be able to stack continuously. If that's the case, the person wielding this could basically have a Warhorn built in forever, which again, if used on multiples or if you have different sets and all the rest of it, could negate the need, and that's the intention, the need for Warhorn. Because the point of the game is to have choice. If you're forced into one way or no way, they change shit. What they're trying to do here is offer you other ultimates. However, that major is only for the main person. This, though, is to stop you having to slot Beast Trap and having to slot any form of minor force whatsoever. Whether it be Medusa or Channeled Acceleration or whatever. Good idea. Not going to argue with that as a concept. But what you also have to consider is while one set and one skill, Acceleration, Medusa, actually 3 sets, Griffin and Zovkin, while they don't do extra damage, Beast Trap still does single target. And Beast Trap is fucking strong. They would have to nuke the damage Beast Trap puts out and the CC from it in order to make this somewhat relevant for a group. Greetings, Zai. Has your day treated you so far? Not bad, dude. Not bad. It's been a busy one. Again, very cool set. Very cool idea. I like the idea of giving the user the big bonus. Very much like Kinraz. One gets major berserk. Everyone else gets minor. Gets major force. Everyone else gets minor. I still see an issue, though, because I think stupid people are going to put 10 of these in their group, which is dumb because then you're going to stack minor force fucking 10 times and it doesn't stack. That's a problem that players will have because players sometimes don't read the text. But I like the idea of it. It looks pretty cool. Having minor force or major force all the time for you could be pretty cool, especially if you're on your own, or especially if you're in a small group of people where they don't want to use a warhorn, or if you don't even have beast trap slotted because you might want a damage shield or whatever. There are options there. It's not a bad idea, but I can see some issues with that if they don't mess with beast trap first. Medium. Weapon and spell damage, crit chance, standard stuff, same as Briarheart, I think. On light attack, critical damage. Get your crits up and light attack. Clever. You apply Withered Soul, dealing disease damage over 10 seconds. Good, because the disease damage is not there that much. Generally in the Nightblade skills, obviously, but as far as sets are concerned, not much of it. So status effect there. On light attack critical damage on an enemy with Withered Soul, you restore 575 stamina. Withered Soul can occur once every 10 seconds, and the damage scales off the highest weapon or spell damage. So again, we can't see the damage that it does. BDX, thank you very much. Left, how you doing? No crap, I'm down 37k DPS, same build between PTS and live. Do you know why? First of all, it's the first week. Secondly, hi, how you doing? Say hello first. And finally, of course, adaptation is key. You got to adapt. If that's what you're getting now, that's a good first test. Now see what you can do to change it to bring it back up again, if you can. Anyway, on a light attack critical damage, you apply Withered Soul, doing disease damage. So a damage over time for 10 seconds, great. On a light attack critical damage on any enemy that has them on them, you restore 575 stamina. Is that per light attack? Because that's fucking nuts. Yes! Thank you very much indeed. Massively appreciated. Beer and cake in the chat. So basically, while the dot persists, you will get back stamina per light attack if you crit it. So a stam, or not even a stam, a Nightblade, if you were using Legion Strikes or whatever, would stack with that. So basically, you're never going to run out of resources. A Wood Elf Nightblade would never fucking run out. But you could use it on a magical build, for example, because it's weapon and spell damage, and all crit types, and all you have to do is crit with a light, and you could maintain a stamina pool in situations where you have lots and lots of CC issues. So you might have to dodge lots, you might have to block lots, you might have to do all sorts of weaving and shit, so you can maintain that bar if that's an issue. So maybe for everyday use for players that are struggling with resources if they're stand built, or maybe just for everyday stuff, maybe even solo shit or even PvP if you are trying to keep up that stand bar in case you get pinned. So it could be useful, but you're going to have to weave to do it. All these sets are weaving shit. So lights, heavies, they're heavily pushing basic base game mechanics, because base game mechanics are what sets the bar with this game and others. Other games is sit there, have a timer, wait for it to run out, press it again, wait for it to run out, press it again. This one, your skill level is about, can you squeeze in those light attacks accurately between your skills? So they are encouraging a lot of basic mechanics in order for you to be rewarded from these sets. Heavy armor, healing taken, armor, health recovery, fuck tons of stamina. Wow, that's huge. When you block, you and up to 3 group members, so small group, within 12 meters gain minor courage for 10 seconds, increasing your weapon and spell damage by 215. This effect can happen once every 5 seconds. So basically a 5-piece version of the one from Dreadseller and Magma Incarnate, that one, and a higher uptime. Nice stats though. I can see that set on a Templar. You got your crystal ball out? Nice. Brew Crew, Spirit, Buddha, Mammoth, welcome to the stream, by the way. My Mag DK took a hit down to 80k on PTS, but I think I might drop aside finally. Well, the thing is, if you're using that set on a Mag DK, you're already redundant, because the amount of recovery you're going to get from your flame status effects is just fucking bonkers. If you're using it effectively and you can actually manage your own resources, you're never going to be low enough to make that set work properly anyway. So I would recommend dumping it, but it depends on your overall build. Do what you like. Let's see. I can't. Euphoric Gatekeeper. There we go. mask monster mask. Stam recovery. We've got a few of those already. I.e., actually, the one from Dreadseller does, Bloodspawn does, a few others do, Stormfist, all that kind of stuff. When you use a dodge roll, create a what? A Hadolin husk after you roll. While within 5 meters of the husk, it will absorb all direct damage attacks against you. Okay. After 1 second, the husk explodes, dealing poison damage to all enemies within 5 meters. This effect can occur once every 20 seconds and scales off the higher of your weapon and spell damage. So that's a very big gap. Unless you can tactically benefit from it. That could be a bit naughty. Because there may be some... Rogers, thank you very much. There could be some mechanics where it's a big explosion and everyone needs to dodge at once and nobody takes any damage. I.e., bombers in PvP. If everyone dodges at the same time, all direct attacks against you don't hurt. So, big boom, area of effect, splat, don't get hurt. Also, that could be a bit naughty for some mechanics for tanks. Because there would be some mechanics that hit very, very hard in direct damage that you should be able to block against, but you might have deliberately built to be really fucking squishy. So people could force everyone to go stupid squishy and just make sure you dodge roll because you have that specific monster set on. You could completely avoid a mechanic with that. Some of that looks like it's intentional to do so, but I can see it being abused in some situations. So I think that might get revisited. We'll have to see. More roly-poly builds? No, because it's a 20-second cooldown, which is quite long. But that does mean, regardless of the damage type, if it is direct, whether it be Oblivion, Poison, Fire, Ice, whatever, if it's direct, then you'll avoid it completely. So that might encourage people to go ultra squishy so they can always dodge that one thing that would normally kill them. But then there's a skill level in there because if you dodge roll too often, you're going to fuck up your cooldown. So risk for reward, I guess. New achievements, we're not going to go into those because we can't actually see them. I mean, they do explain what they are, but we can't see the visuals and the shiny little icons for those. New dyes, great, but moving on. New furnishing, again, we can't see those right now. That's more for PTS. And now we're going to find out why they did the things they did with the sets. So I'm not against any of the sets they've done, but I can see a kind of an issue versus some of the sets we've already got. As heavy attack won't be too bad anymore with that set. What the fuck did I miss? That's completely off. Okay, just ignore Brandon. He's probably right, but don't get ahead of me. Where have we gone? Here. Okay, so forget dodge rolls. We need a set that rewards jumping in PvP. Mrs. said this a very long time ago, and I do agree. There is something that has been in the Elder Scrolls forever. If you jump, you should lose stamina. Because it's not fucking Call of Duty. You're not sitting there dodging bullets by jumpy, jump, and you're just beating the law of averages by missing some of the shots. If you want to get away from damage, you dodge roll or block. Jumping should not prevent you from actually taking damage. Because you can get locked onto and all that kind of stuff. I think anyone that over-abuses jumping should lose their stamina. Like, it should cost you per jump. And the Missus is the one that said that before me, actually. But it has been something in Elder Scrolls forever. That's how you got your athletic skill up. Jumping should cost. That way, if you want to jump to avoid damage, you should be penalized for it, stamina-wise, just as much as you should for blocking or dodging. If you're using a physical effect or movement to avoid damage, it should cost. Sometimes people have to choose to dodge the cone or block the heavy, you mean. He's talking about the roll monster set eating Zamaja's heavy attack. The thing is, I've said it very clearly. Argue about it as much as you want. I didn't know that you could dodge stuff just by jumping. You can't dodge stuff by jumping. You can manipulate a player's aim because they're not very good at shooting at you when you're moving. Jumping around should take double damage. Indeed. Anyway, next one. So, new rewards of the worthy. This is for the PvP players. Weapon and spell damage. Crit resistance. Offensive pen. So, defense, stripping resists, and damage all at once. You deal 6% increased damage to blocking players. That's going to be broken as fuck on a Templar. When you deal light attack damage to the enemy that is immune to crowd control, apply Languor for 10 seconds. What the fuck is Languor? Reducing their magic recovery and stamina recovery. This effect can happen every 10 seconds. So basically, if they're blocking, you do more damage, but also you have a built-in poison that will stack with poisons that reduce their resource management. Fair enough. That would probably be great if there was multiples, but then with it being a unique name, it probably won't stack. Again, we'll have to wait and see. How's our ninjas? Amber, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Offensive pen, crit resistance, and stam recovery. Medium set. When you apply major debuff to an enemy, so a taunt with major fracture or breach, actually, it's been breach for a long time, or whatever, remove I'm not going to take credit for this because it's not my fault, and it might happen. It might be. I mentioned to Gilliam a long time ago, the one thing we're missing is a dispel skill, the ability to remove buffs. When you apply a major debuff to an enemy, remove a major buff with a duration from that target. Listen very carefully. With a duration. So if it's Chudan with major resolve, that's not a duration. That's permanent because it's part of the set. If you're using the ring, the new one for the 1-bar ring, that's part of the set. If it's cast and it has a duration, removed. This is a dispel set. Debuff them and remove a buff. It's a dispel set. Fucking love it. Again, I will note that I did give feedback about that, and I also think it's definitely not my fault. They were surely already on that ship, but I'm glad it's happening. When you apply a minor debuff to the enemy, remove a minor buff with a duration from the target. These effects can both occur once every 2 seconds. So strictly speaking, if you get jumped by a fucking Nightblade and they're trying to hit you with all manner of different minor buffs and bonuses that they get from jumping from stealth, depending on their setup, you crack them with a taunt or something, and they just get stripped. Because Pierce Armor is a major plus a minor. You just took away major and minor Berserk if they were packing that shit. Which they might be. Fucking nice. So they jump you, you stab them. I mean, strictly speaking, there's lots of buffs and bonuses in the game that come from skills that could be a major and a minor at the same time. But Pierce Armor is literally the easiest one to do for that. I wonder how many it stacks up to. These effects can happen both every 2 seconds. Now, is that per set? Or is it per user? If it's per user, then that could be a problem. Everyone could just run up and just porcupine the fucker. Just everyone stab with a taunt. Major, minor, major, minor, major, minor, gone fucking stripped. But if it's the set that only applies, then obviously it'll lock other people out from it, even if they're wearing the same shit. Interesting. I like it, though. Removing. That would also be interesting, because it doesn't say player. It would also be interesting to see if any bosses or enemies or whatever have any general major buffs or minor buffs that benefit them, that are the same as players, that you can then remove. Although this is, again, designed for PvP. I think most of them are then normal, but they're like their own specific type. But there might be a couple of obscure ones. You have to look into it. Heavy armor. Armor. Crit resist. Heal and taken. Standard stuff apart from the crit resistance. Every single one of these has got crit resistance. Nice. So both damagey ones have got offensive pen and recovery or flat damage. And the healing one has got no extra damage, but it does have the standard survival shit. If a target you're attacking jumps, remove their legs. Basically, yeah. When a negative effect is removed from you... Oh, it's got a counter. Careful. If you cleanse. That's right. When a negative effect is removed from you, restore health. When you take damage and have 6 or more negative effects, cleanse all negative effects. This effect can happen every 15 seconds. That is a double stacking son of a bitch. So if you take ... as soon as you get up to 6, boom, insta cleanse, get a heal. Naughty. Naughty, naughty. So technically, any class, regardless of their skills slotted, could have a cleanse there if they get overwhelmed. So this one is a dispel set for PvP. This one is if you've got a massive group of people just flooding you with dots, you remove them all and heal from it. Now, granted, the heal is not that big, but it's bigger than dead. Fuck the plague wearing people. Indeed. Or, the problem is, dude, think about it. You could deliberately debuff the fuck out of someone with plague on them, and they'll automatically cleanse themselves. Big boom. You can force them to cleanse. Plague Breaker's detonator. Correct. That's naughty. So in two different situations, that could be good and bad. You could be using it to get the pressure off you, but you could then be a target, which is fucking nuts. That's actually pretty cool. I like those. They are going to get altered to shit because everyone knows that Plague Breaker is going to be OP as fuck. Already it is, but it's going to be mental again because everyone's going to stack this shit, force a fucking a negative effect cleanse, and then just kill them. However, again, I do see that being slightly altered because I've said it. I'm sure other people have fucking thought of it. There's no reason to wear that if you think that's going to happen. But in general combat, if it doesn't count Plague Breaker, I mean, that would be kind of cool. But if it doesn't get altered slightly to consider the types of ability, the types of debuffs, the type of negative effects, not many people are going to wear it. What are you dorks doing? Doom, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. New furnishings, fabulous. Love the furnishing. Gonna get those, but we can't see them, so I can't show you that stuff. Prologue quest, also awesome, but can't show you that either. So it would work with depth set of DSR. Yes, of course it would. But the point is, this is designed for PvP. So if you are overwhelmed, you automatically cleanse and heal. Fabulous. But there are sets that negatively impact you if you cleanse. So it could be used to benefit you, or it could be used and be a negative. You could end up being killed by your own set.
Winning. I love winning.
Thank you for the follow.
All around.
Much appreciated. Stuff and things we can't see right now. Template information. By the way, if you're on the PTS, top left-hand side of the screen is a scroll down menu. You can go for a max level character. Look at that. Odd Sam, thank you very much. Bit and cake in the chat. You have to excuse me, people. It is fucking hot. I've just moved my screen. It's gone. It is really fucking hot. It's like 400 million degrees where I'm sitting right now. Whew. Thank you very much. Not going to look into that stuff because it's more PTS while you're there. Molten Whip's cost may not properly... Oh, this is known issues. So, before you kick off at the devs...
I love winnings. Drinks all around.
The known issue section even is there to tell you some things are fucked. So, Molten Whip's cost may not properly adjust with some hard-coded bonuses from sets or champion points. Bear in mind, that is a known issue. They know. Ash Cloud and its morphs are currently consuming resources twice immediately upon casting instead of once. So those people using DKs right now that are getting on the server really, really fast because they think that they're going to test everything, that is an issue. Watch your resources. It's a problem. Cutting defense is currently not properly proccing weapon enchants or poisons, so you know that one. And ancient knowledge is currently not properly applying tether abilities. So those four issues right now, if you're testing anything about your character, are known. Doesn't matter how many hundreds of times you hit the dummy tonight, that's not going to change this week. Just so you know. So you're saying is Doom, you're going to have back to PTS soon. Correct. Okay. Itemization and exploration, or the other way around. I'm not going to go over that too much because this is very, very select kind of areas. I'm going to go for the overall improvements, achievements, general stuff. Quests that are broken are being fixed, which is great. I try not to be too vague or glaze over this kind of stuff too much, but again, it is very select. A few, I say a few, it might be thousands of people that do have this issue. If they're looking for it, they'll find it on the post, I'm sure. But we're going to go into the overall game-changing stuff rather than fixes. Shoot panda rolls back over to ESO. There you go. Quests and zones. Again, this is all very important stuff. But we're not going to go into that too much today. I should actually go into that stuff because once upon a time they added basically the Lazy Rick Crafter to the base game. And I didn't see it. Because Mike had to tell me. Tales of Tribute. This has been a tetchy one because Tales of Tribute is fucking brilliant. But there have been so many fucking cheats going on. And I don't mean, oh, you lost, so you called in cheat. No, there's actually been fucking full-on hacks about it. But they've nuked people, so don't worry. Tribute NPCs are now a little smarter during matches. So for those of you that went, no, it's easy. No, they were just set to easy mode. Now you're going to have to try. Companion chatter is now suppressed while in Tales of Tribute match. Good, because they smack talk over top of you and it doesn't help. They can tell other people what their cards are. They don't. Fixed an issue that prevented placement of ranked tribute matches from updating experience after the match ends. Fixed an issue that could cause someone to forfeit a match as it started when hitting the alt key. Seen that. Fixed an issue where matches could get unintentionally interrupted. Seen that as well. And fixed an issue that could cause you to get stuck in a tribute activity, find a queue. Also seen that. Achievements are not important right now. Now we're going to go over gameplay. You ready? So, we've been keeping a close eye on Tales of Tribute and specific cards that over or underperform in game. For update 35, we've made changes to the biggest outliers when looking at how they contribute to overall winning percentage. That's right. You thought you had a special hand and strategy that's going to be amazing? Yeah, they're going to change it. So, Duke of Crows. Instead of gold cost from scratch to 4, it's gone to 3. Gold scratch is actually really easy to stack. Because I think there's like 4 in a deck. And they only cost 3 in the first place. So you can stack and stack and stack and stack and stack. And you bang, 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 bang. All you need is a fucking harvest. Or, I can't remember what the fucking other one's called. Where you just constantly shuffle your cards over and over and over. And you can basically, you can't lose. If you go onto my Twitter page, I think like 15 posts ago, you'll see me literally hand someone's ass to them. No disrespect to them. With a Duke of Crow's hand or deck that rotated. I used my whole deck like 4 times in one turn. This can stack so much fucking gold. When you hit that Duke of Crow's patron, there's no way you're going to fucking lose. If you've got enough of them. So they had to bring it down a little bit. So now if you have 4 of them, instead of getting 12, you get 9. That is the difference. Instead of gold generation from hireling to 2 to 1. Increase the acquired value of Oathman from 6 coins to 5. From 5 even, so that costs more to get. I love this one. I hated the Sigic Lawmaster Solaris to start with. I was like, what the fuck is this? I call that patron Shuffle Monkey. Been using your builds. Love All About Mechanics series. Thank you very much, Solly. Much appreciated. I call that Shuffle Monkey because you can basically just pick a card, shuffle the ones you don't want, and carry on. And I use that a lot. I'll keep my deck as small as fucking possible with really hard-hitting cards, and I'll use Shuffle Monkey cards to keep replaying the same fucking ones. Anyway, reduce the replace cost of... I can't pronounce that. The fuck is that? Sephora's Insight to 1 to 2, and increase the toss to 4 from 3. Again, Shuffle Monkey card OP. Reduce the replace of Sigic Insight from 1 to 2, and increase its toss 4 from 3. Again, Shuffle Monkey OP. Reduce the replace from... well, no. Don't fuck that one. From 1 to 2 and increase the generation 3 to 4. Okay. Prescience is 1 to 2 and increase its gold generation to 3 from 2. That is going to line up with the one from the gold patron. I forget his fucking name. Where you pay 2 for it and you get 3. Same applies, except you get 2 Shuffle Monkey bonuses from that at the same time. Remove the replace from the Time Mastery and increase its toss from 4 from 2. So what they've done is they've basically buffed the Shuffle Monkey deck so that instead of shuffle 2, you might not get to what you want, you can basically rotate your fucking deck over and over and over and over and over. You could to some extent anyway, but there was like 2 cards that could specifically do that. The rest were kind of meh. Now they've pushed them all to 4, which is fucking stupid. Pictured you in my head looking like a Rip Hunter. A Rip Hunter? Okay. Rajin a pure liar. A purring liar even. He's a cat. He purrs, doesn't pure. Increase the gold generation from Prowling Shadow to 2 from 1. And reduce the gold cost from 4 from 5. So he's cheaper and does more shit. Prowling Shadow no longer has a taunt. Awkward. During Shadow now generates gold as a base effect and no longer has a taunt. Reduce the gold cost of During Shadow to 4 from 5. Means you can get the game started fucking sooner. Increase the gold cost of Jarring Lullaby to 7 instead of 6. And increase the gold generation to 2 from 1. So more effective, but it's going to cost you more. If you've got the green deck, you can just shimmy that and get extra gold anyway. Shadow Summon now generates gold as a base. Nice. Your phone likes to be private. Yes, it does. Bob's phone loves to be private. He loves it. Red Eagle. Reduce the combo power generation from Midnight Raid to 2 from 3. Ouch. Imperial Spores now generate 1 gold on a combo of 2. And increase the gold generation from Imperial Plunder to 2 from 1. So that set is actually really, really fucking fun. That deck indeed. But it doesn't generate a lot of gold. So what they've done there is try to push a little bit more. Which you should do really, because Imperial are known for more gold. So why they don't have a lot of it, I don't know. You hate the Red Eagle deck. I actually quite like it, but it's a bit... You can get really unlucky with it. You only have the 4 base packs. Doesn't matter. You'll go up against someone that's got the other packs anyway. And there's nothing more satisfying than not having the other packs and watching somebody bring them into the game and you beat them with their own fucking decks. St. Pellen, the red one, I think, increases the gold... Oh, you motherfucker! Increase the gold cost of Armory to 6. Of course Rally was going to go up. Fuck you. There's a reason for it. It's the most OP fucking card on the fucking table. So Armory is 6 instead of 5, and Rally is 8 instead of 7. Shit. Oh, to be fair, Rally hits as hard as fuck. If you have a small hand or deck, you can regurgitate that shit over and over. And if you have one more red card, you can just always get another card. You could thin your deck down to like 5 fucking cards, 6 cards or whatever by destroying cards in your deck over and over and over and over. And you can bring Rally out every fucking turn. So I appreciate why they've done it, but also fuck you. However, that does mean that Rally, if it's on the table at the beginning of the fight, isn't going to be picked up until much, much later. Because at the beginning, it's your turn, their turn, your turn, their turn, your turn, their turn. You know it's going to be 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6. Maybe not. Maybe it might be 4 for you and then 6 for them. And then after like the 4th turn, you know they're picking up Rally before you. Rally and Armory are my favourite. I can't get them. I forfeit. You should play against me more often.
Drinks all around.
Because if you play against me more often and you forfeit all the time, I'll go up the ranks. I'll take it. Right. Thank you for the follow. Reduce the gold generation from Siege Weapon Volley combo to 2 to 1. Let me read that again. The gold generation from Siege Volleys combo 2 to 1 from 2. Oh, to 1 from 2. So they've made the gold go down. Okay, whatever. I don't use Volley for its fucking gold anyway. I use it for its 4 damage. If you have a Siege weapon version of it. There's 4 of them in a fucking deck, by the way. You get 4 volleys and a rally. And then you use Rag Picker to destroy all your fucking cards. Just keep rotating that shit. The Reinforcements card can now be upgraded to Legion's Arrival by acquiring a following clue. Okay, fine. Cards across the continent fix an issue where they prevented this daily quest from granting credit when defeating NPCs of a lower tribute rank and higher rank players. Dueling Tribute, fix an issue that prevented you from receiving quests credit in ranked matches where opponent would concede. Final round, fix an issue that caused the appearance of the bonus master blah 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 face during celebrations of the quest. You know why we do that? Because as streamers, you've always got that shitlord at the back that's a complete fucking expert that tells you how to pronounce things, even though they're probably from a completely different country to you and have a different pronunciation of words. And then when you say stuff like this, they're like, no, it's not said like that. It's said like this, and it's one fucking variation of it. One slight change. And they still typed it out, so you're going to pronounce it the fucking same anyway. So fuck pronouncing awkward names. I think it's Razamad, but someone's going to go, no, it's not. It's Razhamad. Oh, fuck off. Tribute season rank trophy furnishings even will now... See? Pronunciation. Rumpelstiltskin? Exactly right. Furnishings will now be granted for... See? Another one. Another big word. Another one. No big words for us. Ebony, Quicksilver, and Boy still. It's, how the fuck do you say that? Orichalcum? Orichalcum? We know it's Orichalcum. It's been in the game for fucking years. Don't worry. I'm being somewhat facetious. Double the gold found in tribute reward bags? No. Do you know what? Those reward bags are fucking brilliant. The amount of fucking quality items you get out of that is nuts. I actually ended up with 2 plates out of the best part of about 10 games. Because I ended up with loads of dust. Thought it was pronounced Leviosa. Yeah, indeed. You watched the right movies. Reduce the chance of receiving some alchemy materials from tribute bags. You know the thing I said a moment ago about the really cool stuff that you get from tribute bags? Delete it. It's gone. They deleted it. They've made it less likely. So now I'm going to have a massive sad. on stream. That's a good job I brought beer. Cogs. I don't mean it. I do. Reduce the chance of receiving furnishing patterns and cooker. See, that's the difference, right? That's all you have to do. You look at that and you think, shit. Moving on. Instead of, hey, let's post on the internet and tell everyone how much I fucking hate them because I have nothing else to do with my life and I want to complain about stuff and things and see how many people find me validating on the internet for stuff. Fucking move on. Am I a bit miffed about this one? Sure. Do we know the impact? Not really. Reduce the chance of receiving furnishing patterns and cooking recipes from tribute bags. To be perfectly honest, I'm happy to get loads of recipes. I'm happy I've seen stuff that I have got. But I'm also getting into the situation where I've looted so many fucking bags. I've got an abundance, fucking great list of things that I already have. So for players that don't have them, great. For players that do, you got trash. It's all trash. It's no good to you. Zai, where is your hate speech? Shut up, Raccoon. Good evening, afternoon, morning, Zai and Ninjas. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. I've got so many recipes I don't have already. I have as well. I will admit that. But I've also got an abundance of shit I don't need. I think they overdid it with the recipes. I'm not mad about the crafting stuff initially. Like, the idea was great. So many fucking crafting materials. Fabulous. But when it comes to things that can only be consumed once, they overdid it. So, if you want an honest opinion, a non-biased approach to things, or just a non-crybaby one, this is a bit annoying because it is something that can stack forever. Why did you reduce it? This one, we have loads of that anyway. Why do we get so much? So it's a balance. Pissed about that one, not to the point where I'm going to cut my own wrist, and don't give a fuck about that. Balance. Winning multiple matches for a tribute daily quest will now grant a progressively higher quality reward bag based on your victories when turned in, instead of additional bags of lower quality. So, the B word again. Back to where we were. Balance. So what they've done is this kind of shit will probably end up in here. In the you won more, you get more. PvE Tribute Daily Quest will offer green, blue, purple quality reward bags for 1, 2, or 3 wins, retrospectively. And PvP Tribute Daily Quest will also do the same, as they should have done in the first place. Fixed an issue that caused ranked tier rewards to display transmute crystal rewards in stacks of 1 instead of single stack with all crystals. I really appreciate that you've done that, and it's a great sentence, but, I mean, doesn't really make a huge difference. Gold received from some tribute reward bags will no longer be affected by passive bonuses. So if you had champion points and get more gold from stuff, you'd get more. Playable and damageable cards now have different highlights. Fair enough. Fixed numerous minor visual issues. Fixed an issue that would cause your screen to visibly shake when a player tribute near a volcanic vent. I mean, I kind of like that. I'm not going to lie. That was like running on a mountain. I like the fact that it recognized the environment that you were in. And while you're playing cards, minding your own business, oh fuck, a volcano's going off. That was... I'm not mad at that. It doesn't bother me. I thought the B word refers to someone other than some other words. My bad for being broken, indeed. UI stuff. Post-game match now displays your... Do you know what? I'm gonna give a little bit of critique here as far as the tribute game is concerned, as far as UI is concerned. Specifically on console. On console, to go back a menu, you press circle. There's lots of windows within the game when you're trying to choose, do I want to destroy this card, yes or no? You have to press the options button to go back. That is not as intuitive as the rest of the game. I think your back button should stay your back button. It's not the end of the world because it does tell you in the bottom anyway, but it takes you a couple of minutes to fumble over the buttons to realize which one you're supposed to press. Even's Eye, only shortly here. We'll rewatch this tomorrow. Thank you, Priska. How are the changes so far? I mean, so far, we haven't gone into massive changes. We've seen a few sets that I'm anticipating some consolidation for later on. And we've seen some Tales of Tribute stuff, which is not too bad so far. I mean, there's ups and downs, but they make sense. Map button to cancel. Who invented that? Right. Boats, caravans, and major alliance cities to hire are now have map icons, as they should. So we're not going to go over the itemization and exploration stuff too much because some of this is very, very specific to kind of mementos and individual quests. There are fucking hundreds of quests in the game. We could be here for quite some time. Nope. Ha ha ha. Let's get a sip of beer and get rid of whatever hiccup is trying to brew because this is going to get tricky. Again, first of all, I appreciate the fact that nobody has got ahead of me yet. So thank you very much. Get yourself some beer. Secondly, disclaimer for those of you that just joined. We are reading this live. Don't go ahead of me. When I'm reading something specific and you have questions about it, 100% fine. If you've read it already and at the same time as I'm reading it, you have something to say, 100% fine. But if I'm getting to something and you try to get the audience's attention by posting in the chat that you've read it already and this is what you think, calm the fuck down. Let me get there. So far, the stream has been really good with that. So well done. I need a sip of beer because I've got so much shit for this recently because how dare you stream this game when the devs break it so much. Spoiler, they don't break it. They're trying to make it better for you. People don't know a good thing when they get it. We're waiting for you to send the beer. I'm sending beer, don't worry. I'll send the empty bottles. Light and heavy attacks now deal a flat amount of damage like they always did. Once upon a time, if you remember that far back. Rather than scaling off of your highest offensive stats. Do you know, while I scroll this down, do you know why that's a benefit? How many people at the back know that? Without reading. Because light and heavy attacks are free damage. Free. They're basic base game mechanics. They don't want you to have to spec into a certain field to make your base game mechanics stronger. Those are yours. If you want to have sets and bonuses that enhance them, great. But off the bat, everyone should be equal. If you want to build into stamina, or you want to build into magicka, or weapon damage, or spell damage, that is a choice. Okay, that is a choice for you. And they've changed things with the hybridization side of things so that if you want to be a magicka build, you can have a big fucking magicka pool and utilize stam abilities and it will scale off your magic pool. The choice is just your resource cost. So they don't want to force you into light attacks with melee are stamina. Light attacks with magicka weapons are magic. They don't want to do that. So they flattened them. So now you'll get the same no matter how you build. Unless you have the sets that go for that stuff. So now everything's a level playing field as far as that's concerned. If you want to build more towards your skills, you can. If you want to build more towards your light attacks and heavy attacks, you can. But as far as stats are concerned, that bit is always... it's always there. Anyway, we're going to go into this some more. Melee light attacks deal 2250 base damage, while ranged light attacks deal 10% less. Do you know why? Because it takes a long time and it will get there eventually. Whereas melee is cop that. Anyway, fully charged melee heavy attacks deal 2500 base damage multiplied by their cast time and cooldown, and 10% less for ranged. Stay with it. For example, a two-handed heavy attack will take 1.8 seconds between their cast time and cooldown, meaning their damage dealt is 4.5k. Medium attacks that scale between their light and fully charged heavy counterpart, or continue to scale even, final hit from resto and lightning staves can now be dodged once again to ensure that there is a better counterplay at denying an opponent's resources and stronger proportion of the attack. Resources restored from fully charged heavy attacks have been streamlined to grant an average of approximately 1350 resources based on their total cost, time, and cooldown, rather than varying values with no standardization. They're trying to balance stuff out. So, two-handed for long run now restores 2425 stamina, down from 2426. That's not a massive change, but standardization means everything needs to be balanced. Resto staff now restores 2900, down from 3219. One hand and shield now restores 2293, up from 214. So if you're a tank, thank you for the follow, by the way. If you're a tank, heavy attacking for your resources back, congratulations, you just got buffed as far as resource management is concerned. Ice and Inferno staff now restores 2838, up from 2823. So that is a minor increase, but again, standardization to make sure the calculations make sense. Dual wield now restores 2095, which is not too far off of what the sword and board used to do, up from 1798. If you dual wield heavy attack, you'll notice that before that was actually pretty good, but now you got buffed as well. Benefit there. Bow restores 2.772 instead of 2.724, so that's up a little bit. Lightning staves restore 2970 magicka, down from 3632. Now that is a little bit lower, but if you notice very carefully, it's the same as the resto, which is also a channel. So the channel and the channel are the same. The long-winded single hit is still very high, but not as high as the channels. So if you want to get the most out of your resources, a channeled magicka staff does give more than the initial hit ones, like the flame or the ice, but you'll still gain a lot regardless.
Drinks all around.
Unarmed combat now restores 2095, up from 1617. I've only had to benefit from that once. I was on a live stream with Bethesda. They made me take off all my armor and weapons. I had to tank with no armor and no weapons. Yes, I gained stamina back, so I could dodge roll the heavy stuff by punching. Whatever. Adjusted many bonuses from sets, abilities, and passives to better equate for these changes, which are listed under their sourced areas. Also fixed an issue where dual-wield medium attacks could deal more damage than their fully charged counterpart in some cases. One, this makes fucking sense. Don't forget Punching Dragons. This is true, Twy. Thank you very much. I remember that. It was your fault. So if you do want the actual stats for this, I'm sure one of the mods has got a link for this, hopefully. That is how that's going to work based on each weapon type. Previously, we just got told that if you heavy attack, get resources back. If you heavy attack something that is off balance, you'll stun them. That's still the case, but now we've got a proper list of how much each one is affected. Unarmed monk skill line confirmed, indeed. Spoilers are important. So, during the Greymore era, we ran a test where we refactored the functionality of light and heavy attacks. If you don't remember that, by the way, they changed it. They made it so that lights obviously did X amount of damage and heavy attacks would return resources. Whereas they tried to alter things where lights would return resources and heavy would do more damage and all that kind of stuff. While we ended up not implementing those changes due to player feedback, so it's all your fault, there were many positive notes and remarks we took away from the change list overall. This time around, we're implementing the good parts from the received feedback and avoiding other areas. Overall, we're keeping light attacks in place of the top DPS producing results, so they're still very high. A bit much less an extent than what they were doing before. Obviously, they had to be reduced. Because while the skill separation between experienced players and non-experienced players is to do with whether you know how global cooldowns work, whether you can weave in and out of skills and stuff, they still want that to be a contributing factor if you paid attention to your base game mechanics. And this is something that I heavily emphasize every single fucking stream. Base game mechanics separate the experienced from the non-experienced. The good from the bad. The really achieved to the not quite got there yet.
Winning. I love winnings. Drinks all around.
Blocks, dodge rolls, interrupts, light attacks, heavy attacks. If you ignore any of those single mechanics individually, each one or all of them, whatever. If you avoid any of them and you go, heavy attacks are boring, light attacks are shit, dodge rolls unnecessary, don't need to block. If you ignore those, you're going to be shit at the game. They teach you everything you need to know in the first 3 levels. This is underlining the importance of those basic mechanics. And if you remembered what they are for, and if you still remember how to use them properly, you will benefit. You will get more damage. You will survive more. You will do this. You will do that. They are helpful. 99% of failures in mechanics are due to somebody not bashing a fucking target. Simplest mechanic in the game. Flashing red lights. Bash it. Nah, someone else will do it. Well, you're all going to fucking rip. Basic shit like that is very important to the overall combat system. And this is pushing for that. If you don't care too much, you'll still perform, but not as well. If you do pay attention to that shit, you're going to do really, really well. Anyway, moving on. Heavy attacks will remain more resource-driven, but now also produce significant less DPS losses than before. What that also means, again, you can build for increased heavy attack. But lots of players make a big mistake. What they do is they try to assume that the resources are going to be managed by default without doing anything. They don't build for resource management. They just hit and hit and hit and hit and hit and wonder why their bar's empty. Then when it's empty, they go, oh, I need a heavy attack. No. Maintenance. Maintain your resources. In between mechanics, you might need a heavy attack occasionally. Every 2 or 3 or 4 rotations, if you notice that your bar's dipping too much, fill it up a little bit and then carry on. Fill it up a little bit more and then carry on. Don't fill the tank up just because it's fucking empty. Fill it up every so often when you think you might need a little bit more gas. Doing it at 0 is bad. And if you do that, you will lose DPS because you're not got the resources to apply the rest of the skills you need in your rotation. You might go lights in between, light, spam light, light, and then run out of resources. Or you could go light, spam heavy, light, spam heavy. Every so often, and that minor change there will keep your dots up. It will still introduce the spammables, and it will fill the gap with a heavy. If you empty it and just heavy, yes, your heavy attack has now forced you to do less DPS. So when people say heavy attacks do less damage, it's not 100% accurate. It's about your application and where you apply it. Not just how, but when. So what they're trying to do is still make sure it does give us resources, but not have so much of an impact at the lower side of your deeps if that's all you've got left. Is sort of buff confirmed? I never confirmed anything. Don't put words in my mouth. Wait, with bashable mechanics, they don't always show the flash in red, right? Or am I blind? No, blind. I will note, by the way, for someone that literally does this as a fucking living, I do see the ins and outs and the good and the bad and sometimes the difficulties. I've had this once in a one-to-one, and I've had over 500 of them. That's an hour session, by the way, with an individual person when I get to talk to a streamer for an hour. Patreon in the chat if you want one of those. Red is a common color for people with color blindness to struggle with. So it is true that some people can't see the interrupt mechanics. It would be nice if ZOS implemented a color change for that, not just the ground AoEs on the ground. But also a lot of people make excuses for not paying attention. That off-balance proc is naughty. Now the resource damage right. I'm getting there, Ben. Don't go ahead of me. How often do you update YouTube videos? That's not something that you can actually get as an answer. You'll just have to keep an eye on it. Solara, how you doing? So anyway, moving on. Heavy attacks will remain resource driven, but now also produce significantly less DPS losses than before. The main reason for streamlining these values was to reduce the blow of damage production when they can provide at high level, reinforcing an intense necessity to perfectly light weave, because some setups, if you followed them to the letter, would basically make or break if you could or couldn't weave. To produce viable, they love how they use that word. Do you know why they use that word? That is being slightly facetious. Because people use it too much and don't understand what it means. While simultaneously retaining their damage levels at low end for those who rely on them to not be negatively affected. So if you do focus on weaving a lot, you will still get the rewards. Thank you very much. Beer and Cake in the chat, thank you very much indeed. In doing so, we've also been able to adjust item sets that augment these... Augment? That was a hard word to say. It shouldn't be. I've said it a million times. Effects to be more impactful without the concern of creating higher burst potential in PvP environments. See that? Don't care about PvP. Yes, they do. Helping accessibility in all environments. So overall, light attacks do perform fucking well. As something that's free and requires you to not put on any specific sets, although you can, light attacks do hit fucking hard. I know people argue, oh, it's in the top 3 to 4 DPS numbers on combat metrics. First of all, it's an add-on. You don't have to rely on that. Secondly, if you are relying on that, if you know anything about DPS, 9 times out of 10, it's not second or third or fourth. It's usually first or second. It's fucking high. With that being the case, that means that a vast proportion of the community doesn't see that top end, really high 20 or 30% increase to DPS because they don't weave as well as you. They want the weaving to still be a benefit. They want you to still gain from that. But they don't want the gap to be quite so big. So they want everyone to use the skills they have to hand. And everyone to still get the same damage numbers out of those skills because you're using the same setup. But the game changer, the skill set in there is, can you weave well or not? Now, you could argue that that's the case at the moment, although it's technically not. At the moment, it's just making things as complicated as possible. But if they bring that down a little bit and still make it very important, the floor is around here and the ceiling comes down just a little bit. So there's not much in it. Same skills, same damage output, but if you can weave, you do a lot more. Have they ever added information about weaving and heavy attack resource in the game? Do you know what? That's a very good question. No. As far as this is concerned, this here, that's not been public. And if it has, it was at the very, very beginning. Those actual stats there, you have to figure out for yourself. So you can use combat metrics to track it, but it's not something that they've actually posted. This here has made it very clear as to what they were and what they are intended. Note the word intended to be. Just managed to do Vet Maelstrom. This update going to ruin that for me? No, it's not. Why would it ruin it for you? Relax, David. If you're listening to me, those words wouldn't come out of your mouth. Relax. Adjust player damage over time abilities to generally follow the following rules. Abilities now last 20 seconds in duration, up from 10. I will note. Predicted. Mike, where are you? I was in Mike's stream the other day and told him this was going to happen. Almost all dots now tick on a 2-second frequency rather than 2 seconds if they were single target and 1 second if they were area of effect. So that means you are still going to get 10 ticks, but it's going to be stretched. That's actually less stressful on the server. So they're probably going to up the damage per tick. Abilities now deal roughly 2 times the amount of damage that a normal spammable, such as Lava Whip or Concealed Weapon, would deal, by up to 1.5 times the amount. Since they now take longer to deal this damage, this will result in approximately 33% overall decrease in DPS for dots, while making them more worthwhile in long-term fights and easier to keep up. So, in a short bursted fight, you're not going to have 10 seconds worth of OP DPS. But if the fight is longer, you're going to get the full potential of the skill and see the full damage output. So the longer the fight, the more damage you will do because it lasts longer. And the easier it is to keep up your rotations because you don't have to go dot light, dot light, dot light, dot light, dot light. If you've got 2 dots in your rotation, or maybe even 5, you only need to cast 5 dots every 20 seconds rather than 5 every 10. You've got a 15-second gap now to hit spams and lights to your fucking heart's content rather than panicking over, oh, in 5 seconds time I have to do this. Dot, dot, dot. Smashy, 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 dot, 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 dot. That is a very clever way to close the gap. Because if you were dot light, dot light, dot light, spam light, spam light, spam light, some people can't calculate that. You could say at the larger end of the scale, that could still be an issue. But if it was 5 dots, 5 spams, some people might go, oh no, I done 6. Oh, my game is ruined. Now it's just 5 dots, spam for 15 whole seconds and start again. You've got a bigger gap to calm the fuck down to apply the same damage as everybody else. Again, the contributing factor is, can you light weave or not? Dot 5 times 15 spammables. Most people could still achieve that. But if you can weave in between, you're at the higher DPS. If you can't weave in between, you're at the lower DPS. But that lower DPS is still applying the same damage skill, so it won't be that far apart. The idea is to allow everyone to hit a rough middle ground while still allowing the OP people to go higher. How's that, ninjas? Damn, I'm late to the bonfire. You're not. Thanks for the first best trial last night. I'm looking forward to proposed changes. So far, so good. Hey, Cookie, thank you very much indeed for the sub. You are the Dragonborn. Enjoy. You know the rules. People fight starts again from scratch. If you kill the Dragonborn, you'll take their place of stream. I have to kill you instead. Now, the trouble is, if you pay too much, have you ever added? I've read that one already. if you read too much information on stuff that doesn't make any sense, or people that don't have any information and they just shout and shout and shout, and you try and listen to them instead, you'll get a vague overview of what people are expecting, what people are scared about, not actual facts. So at the moment, PTS is live, sure, but it's going to be running for several weeks. So this is the initial intention of what they've got. It doesn't mean that it's going to end up this way. Although, on paper, I have to make that very clear, on paper, not in testing, because I'll do my own tests rather than having someone tell me what they found, because I don't care what you found. I appreciate it, but I don't really care versus my own tests, because I'll do that myself. Until we've actually tested stuff, you don't have results. And then when you do have results, see what you can do to adapt. If you can't adapt, fuck, give them feedback, tell them why. But if you can, you might be surprised. But the intention, again, is to level the playing field. It's to stop all this gatekeeper shit saying you can't do trials, you can't do this, you can't do that. Everyone in the game has access to every single piece of content. Everyone. You shouldn't be locked out of that. And you're not. But the mentality is there. People try to force you into thinking that you can't do it. There's always a shitlord somewhere saying, well, you'll never get in my group. Okay, let's look at that, shall we? Your group is full. Do you have room for me even if I could do that? Well, no, obviously not, but you'll never get in. No, I won't, because you're full. Stop talking. Nobody cares. All the content is accessible. You just have to have the balls to go in. But they are leveling the playing field as far as DPS output is concerned if you pay a little bit of attention, but not as much as before. This is now allowing you to see more mechanics and have your rotation less complex. Only problem with this is that the PTS will be extremely few normal players that are testing this on good weavers is not good data. Not 100% true, Raccoon. It depends. Unless you are in a position where you're receiving the data, you can't really say that. But there will be a lot of noise from people that are used to the regular testing, and there will be less noise from people that aren't. But at least the opportunity is there if you want it. Blind Illusions, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. After you're done going through the patch notes, check out the Reddit PTS thread. It's nuts. I do this for 11, dude. You definitely don't need to direct me there. Trust me, I see it. Appreciate it, though. Adjusted player damage over time abilities were done. Most costs have been untouched, reducing the overall cost per second. Do you know why this is? Do you know why? Because if you're going to dot less and spam more, you still have to maintain the same resources. So it wouldn't make sense for them to increase the cost or reduce the cost. Same dot, you're going to fill a blank space, which could have been another dot, with another skill, i.e. a spammable. So your resource management shouldn't be that different. Individual notes of effect abilities will be listed under their source skill lines. Let's see what they did for this. In this update, we're reevaluating our damage over time standards and cleaning up a lot of power discrepancies between them. Excuse me. Which are stagnating diversity of weapon choices in a lot of areas. Overall, we're trying to improve accessibility of damage production in the game while simultaneously lowering the overall maximum DPS potential when playing super efficiently. What I mean by that, if that's confusing, is if you have a very well-constructed group that has a very well-balanced, or we're going to use the word efficient timing on all your buffs and bonuses that you're supplying to your group. If you're really good at that shit, and your group are really good at their rotations, and really good at the mechanics, they like that, but they are lessening the extreme. Because some of it is way too fucking high. Versus the content's design in the first place. Quick question, why do I keep buffing and buffing and buffing Necro when it is the best class in the game? Shut up, Scordadia. Welcome to the stream. Put up a fucking chair. As such, we've made damage over time effects easier to keep up. As they should be. They should be damage over time, not hit once and then hit a few seconds later. There is a thin line between a damage over time ability and a spammable that lingers. And that's how the dots felt. The dots have been too small. I will admit that some dots, like Eruption, for example, which is a skew if time, but still 18 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever, that felt okay. But then trying to mix it with all these 10 second, 9 second, 6 second, 15 second dots didn't make any fucking sense. So the standardization of them, putting 10 seconds to 20, now gives you so much more freedom to get involved with your spammable.
I love winnings. Drinks all around.
Spammables should be spammed. They shouldn't be cast 3 times and then go through a whole fucking complex rotation again. Granted, the rotation that you make or copy is made by you or somebody else, a player. It's not ZOS that makes those. There are tools and we use them how we want. But it is a continuing trend that people tend to ... spam twice ... It's not a spam if you press it twice, is it? It really isn't. But if they extend the dots, our spammables can be spammed. His eye just got into the stream. How hot is it in your office today? Dude, I'm going to check for you. I'm going to check. Just because I need a brief moment of breath. 29 degrees Celsius between my feet right now. It's fucking hot. Let's go in again. So in addition to more obvious winners in terms of damage production over spammable, but now we've added a caveat that they take longer to deal damage. So you are benefited by leaving your dots running. If you've watched me on stream with my toxicity build, for example, you'll notice that I ... move to the next one. There might be multiple targets, but he's got a dot, he's got a dot, he's got a dot. That one in the corner over there, I've already calculated how much damage is going to happen. He's fucked. He's dead. I don't need to spend stamina to cast another skill because he's dead anyway. I'll move on to the next. And their intention is to make a dot, a dot. A spammable, a spammable. Been here, forgot to say hi. No worries, Sanguine. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. This will create situations where damage over time will have much more clear advantages and disadvantages, making them easier to decide when to use and to upkeep or counter. So trash pulls, you might want to go spam heavy AoEs. In big long fights, you might want to go single target dot. It's going to vary from fight to fight, but now you've got more strategic approaches to that rather than use this build or nothing. They want that. They didn't bring the armory system in for nothing. Adjusted the power of player healing over time abilities in tandem with the damage over time changes. So obviously the longer in a hot, the more benefit. Single target healing over time abilities now heal for 1.5 times the damage of a spammable over their durations rather than 1.875. Area of effect healing over time abilities now heal for 2 times the damage of a spammable over their duration rather than 1.875. So if you are getting rapid regen, less effective. If you are getting healing springs, stay. This is the point. This is teaching you something. Stay in the heals. It's stronger. That was the point in the fucking first place, but now they're giving you some bonuses for it. Been a while. Hope you're well. Having a great summer, everyone. Free, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Platts is going to fucking love that. We've got a mod in the chat who main heals, and his pet peeve is when he goes, here's a heal, and someone goes, no, fuck off. And they just fucking leave. Wait, so I should run away from the heals. Correct, Nick. You should. But Dodge the Heal is my favorite game. Yes, Bregol. Almost all of these abilities will tick every 2 seconds. Again. That is going to free up some stress on the server as well. Because instead of registering every single tick, every single second, it's literally just halved the stress. Rather than 2 seconds if they were single target, and 1 second if they were area of effect based. Also, all of these abilities will now last 10 seconds in duration, while some class skills have been increased to 20. So specific ones, I would imagine the Eruption variant would be that, rather than varying durations between 8 to 10 seconds. Individual notes for affected abilities will be listed under their sourced skill lines. Thought Pale Order was a healer. Do you know what? Talk to Ben about that. Ben went all the way through Ephirian Archive and died on Valerial and couldn't understand why. What I couldn't understand is how the fuck he survived all that far without having the fucking Ring of Pale Order even noticed. He had it on the whole time. Run from the heals if you want to. I don't even change Slicker to a deer. I'm sure I was trying to explain that. Find out DDs. I'm sure they will listen. You don't have to explain anything. I'm already doing it. It's fine. Cat Dog, how you doing? Since damage over time has been adjusted in this update, it means we'll also need to reevaluate some of our healing standards as well to ensure they feel properly balanced against one another. In order to preserve the more reactive gameplay of our healer and support roles fulfill, we're opted to not make healing over time effects easier to keep up in most cases, with a few exceptions of class skills. Currently, healing over time feels significantly stronger than damage over time, and we're attempting to address that in a few ways. So one of the things you have to consider is damage over time can be on a target. Target can run away like fuck. Doesn't matter, the damage over time is still on them. Healing over time, being on the ground, is going to be where you're standing, and as soon as you move, you have to reactivate it. So that is going to be spammed more. Dot on target, dot moves, dot stays. Heal on the ground, someone moves, heal needs to be cast again. Healing is going to cost more than dots, so you have to keep doing that. So they haven't increased their duration and messed with their cost and all that kind of stuff to that effect, because you're just going to fucking run out, because you do have to play more active. Yes! You good but roasting? Dude is fucking hot. Really hot. DJ, thank you for the gifted sub. Much appreciated. Sticky. Healing over time effects that apply to a character will now be weaker than before, while area-based healing over time will be ever so slightly stronger. The logic there, we're going to get to their spoilers bit, and they're going to tell me what I just said. The logic there is that the area-based healing currently feels far riskier to engage as it roots you into the area. Like I said, people can move out of it. You have to recast the fucking thing. Making you more susceptible to burst and high damaging area of effect attacks, while single target healing effects can stack much easier and allow for free range of movement. Pretty much what I said. So, ground stuff, you could move, have to recast it. Stuck to you, whether it be a dot on the enemy or a heal on you, you can run around as much as you want and still benefit. So they have addressed it. Neither of the adjustments should make healing in PvE environments terribly difficult either, as there is an abundance of over-healing in those encounters, and the boosted area of effect-based healing over time should help improve some skill options. Don't like how hot is. Oh, you mean the temperature? Temperature's fucking insane, dude. Adjusted target dummies with raid buffs for the following changes. Please give it more fucking health, because it's not a raid target, is it? Love the dummy, but it's not a raid target. Adjusted the Crusher enchant on dummies to mirror an infused value rather than infused plus Turug's packed value. So, this I agree with, because this is the argument. If that Crusher is on the dummy, you are forcing people to put on a full 5-piece set to benefit from the dummy buff. That set might not be in the group. You should take advantage of a trait and glyph, not a trait and glyph and 5-piece set. That 5-piece set doesn't apply just to Crusher. It applies to fuck knows how many different glyphs. That's really, really subjective, and glad they changed that. Good. Engulfing Flames now matches the proper 6% maximum value. Good, because they did change that. Engulfing Flames is now 6%, not 10. New patch seemed like they want to reward endgame skill without punishing new players. Grave Shadow, if you didn't have a sub right now, I would probably gift one to you, because that is about as accurate as I have seen anyone try to describe the patches so far. That is exactly what they're doing. They are allowing people that are skilled to still benefit from their skill, while also making sure that lesser skilled players can still play in everything. That's the balance. Congratulations, well done. I'm going to press that button for you. You didn't read the fucking forums, did you? Well done. Don't spoil it with crybaby stuff, by the way. You just made history there. Well done. Alcos Roar is now maximum of 6k armor reduction, up from 3010. So on the dummy, this wasn't showing what it should be showing. So if you were using a light armor build, you might feel like you were hitting harder. Not always, but you might feel like you're hitting harder. Because your pen passives are in there. People thought that it was giving you the 6k, but it wasn't. Alcosh has been changed for about 4 patches now with the 6k, maybe 3. Now that is reflected on the dummy. So, go nuts. Attackers now gain minor courage and major slayer when hitting a target dummy. Do you know why? Because minor courage is a well-known buff, especially with Yonakrin or what the fuck is it called? Not in Kratis. I said this earlier and I've forgotten what it's called. Wait a minute. Dreadseller. Behemoth. Not Behemoth. No, it's the same set. Magma Incarnate, that one. And Major Slayer can be acquired by many, many sets in the game. So they've added that. Here we go. Note that this may create a situation where your damage seems to have gone up in comparison to other patches, when in reality it is merely closer to a coordinated group. And I've said this before, when people were using Loki for a long time on a dummy, they're like, well, I get more damage now because I've got Major Slayer. Okay, so take that set off, put another set on. Yeah, I'll get less damage. Okay, good. Now, with the setup you've got now, get someone in your group to give you Major Slayer. Oh, I get more damage now. Yes, because you're stacking your 2 sets plus theirs, rather than trying to replace theirs with another one for yourself. Major Slayer is a group buff that you can acquire. You don't have to have it just on you. And the same with Kinraz as well. I know people love to get Major Berserk from that set. But if you're in a coordinated group, you could have multiple Storm Atros in the group, and you could get Major Berserk from them on top of the 2 sets you're using. Most people that shout min-max are just minimizing their maximum. They don't actually know what they're talking about. What does Major Slayer do? That gives you a 10% increase to all PvE encounters inside instance areas. So, trials, dungeons, arenas. Drugs, I mean? What the fuck? So good they removed the Tavas because Torix because of the 5p set, but Alquasha was forces. No, because that set does what it's supposed to do. Infused Crusher is a trait and glyph. It's got nothing to do with the set. They're forcing that set on the dummy. Do you play any server? I play on every server. Anyway, where these powerful bonuses were being brought, we have tried to focus on important buffs and debuffs that we see a large majority of groups build around rather than every possible buff and debuff. That's a bit of a jab because I complain about that all the time. As many of them are not able to be ran in tandem, yes they are, with one another to require more specific builds to be brought to the composition. Okay, I'm going to slightly disagree with that. That is a vague assumption of what actually happens. Some people might want to, and they can work in tandem. However, I understand where they're coming from because they've gone with the majority rather than the obscure, let's try it. However, if more people try stuff, maybe they'll change that. Why add Major Slayer? There is something that the DPS gets from its gear, not from the debuffs. Because it's something that's usually in your group. Asterix, basically what you've done is you've just argued why is Warhorn there. Think about it. I guess I just keep hitting the dummy and not bothering much with the buffs and bonuses. Yeah, do you know what? It's each to their own. At the end of the day, there are about 15 extra buffs and bonuses that the dummy could have that it doesn't. They are slightly obscure for the vast majority of people that shout noise on the internet. They're not necessarily that obscure as far as the individual groups that don't shout a load of shit about. But you never know. One day maybe they'll add them all. But if they did do that, the dummy would die so fucking fast they'd have to up the health of it. Because there are a lot. Even when you consider stuff like Morag Tong. Morag Tong isn't on there. That increases poison damage by 10%. Most people are using a poison glyph or a poison skill or something or other that would benefit from a poison status and blah, 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 blah. That's one of those things that hasn't been on there. It's in a substantial buff as well. So if you had a full group of bow builds using nothing but lethal fucking arrow. Is it lethal arrow? Yeah, that one. Whatever, that one. That could change the fucking game for them. But it's not there. So there's always going to be varying kind of effects. Different variables applied to the dummy from yourself or from the dummy itself. Or both. That could make or break your overall setup outcome for that situation. They can't add them all, but if they did and up the health, that would be a little bit more accurate as kind of a ceiling to aim for rather than the vague ones that they do have running. But they do try to go for the average. Most people have a Crusher in their group. Most people have a Major or Minor Breach or both. Most people have a Warhorn. Some people have Major Slayer. Some people or most people have Minor Courage. They have to kind of adhere to those situations. My bad, I keep forgetting with that one. What did you do? Oh, the guild link. Do I misunderstand Major Slayer? Does Major Slayer a debuff or is it a buff that only applies to the person wearing it? So Major Slayer is both, actually. Not a debuff, but it's both. One player or multiple players. There are 3 sets in the game. Actually 4. I think. So there's War Machine, there's Architect, there is Loki, and there's another one I forget. But most of them are 2 or 3 people. Or, actually there's 4, because there's VKA. Opportunist. Opportunist gives it to the group. Architect and War Machine gives it to you and 2 other people. And then Loki gives it just to you. So there's 4 sets in the game that can give it. Most of them give it to more than 1 player. So it is a group-esque buff. Much like Warhorn is. much like minor courages, much like major courages, much like minor berserk and major berserk. I don't know why major berserk isn't on there, because that is something that you could acquire. I mean, they could argue, well, major slayer could come from opportunists and fill the group. But then you could also argue that Master Architect only gives it to 2 people, so why not put Major Berserk on there, because maybe you've got 2 sorcerers with 2 Atronachs. It's one of those fucking nitpick situations where you're never going to please everyone. You're definitely not going to please me with it. But there are alterations to setups that could give or remove buffs that are or aren't there. I'm surprised they didn't put Tremor Scale on there, since they buffed the fuck out of that. Lots of people are using it. It gives both physical and spell resistance removal. Again, the dummy is so low health already, it basically feels like a nuke. Do you remember when 3 million target dummies were considered OP as fuck? And now you feel like you're nuking it in 2 rotations? That's what the trial dummy is right now. You can calculate very specifically how to nuke that really, really quick, and it doesn't feel like a trial boss at all. There are so many buffs on it and such a limited amount of health that I think they should boost the target dummy's health and then put all the buffs and bonuses on it. Regardless of whether it's obscure or not, if you want to include everyone and allow everyone choice, don't take away some of the choices just because you don't see it very often. I think, honestly, how some of that is worded, I think they may have missed the mark a little bit there. Like saying, oh, it's closely coordinated to a group environment. You're beating on your own drum. If you want everyone to have a choice and you want everyone to make their own decisions, allow them that. Don't do the whole, this is what most people want, because it's not what most people want. Most groups have a raw and opportunist though. No, most groups do not. Most groups do not. Most groups that you've played with might have. But most groups don't even know where that comes from. The opportunists are not like Neoso. But anyway, I'm glad they're addressing the dummy stuff. They are doing some things with it. But again, the dummy is exactly what it's called. It's a dummy, and it does make dummies of people because they don't understand how variables work. They don't understand how situations work. They don't understand how they're going to perform inside actual content when it comes to fighting a target that moves. It's nice to have the buffs and bonuses. It's nice to gauge what you're doing as your build in that specific situation, but it doesn't reflect actual content enough to be a full viable test. Again, it is nice to practice on. That's what it's for. Greetings, Art Ninjas. How you doing? Hold my single barrel. Welcome to the stream. Major Berserk not being on there makes sense. The main sources of Major Berserk are only for yourself. No. I literally just explained it. Storm Atronach from the Sorcerer. You have multiple sorcerers in your group, drop in multiple Atronachs, multiple people can pick up that buff. Yes, you're going to have an 8-second uptime and a 12-second downtime, but it could still be there. So with them having off balance, with a 7-second uptime and a 15-second immunity phase, and the Spear giving you a synergy with a 20-second cooldown, and having other buffs and bonuses on there that also have cooldowns, uptimes, maxes out, and minimums, and all the rest of it, they could introduce a Major Berserk in there to reflect a Storm Atro being in your group, giving you an 8-second up and a 12-second down. There's always going to be fluctuating effects that they could or could not have done, and there's always going to be that vague assumption that all groups do this. Unfortunately, they did do that a little bit here, and a lot of players do that as well. I'm still going to stick to my own mentality as far as that's concerned. If you want an accurate test for what things could be at best, put all the buffs on it and make the health higher. That way you could feel like you are going up against a 100 mil dragon and having all the buffs. You sound sick? You good? What the fuck, dude? Single barrel. Stop that shit. Dare oh dare. Don't do that in front of fucking 400 people. Hey, dude, you look like shit. Hey, dude, you sound like shit. People on TV don't want to hear that. What the fuck? Empower. This buff now increases light attack damage by 1800 down to 40%. Okay, single barrel. Dude, I have to talk and do this shit for a living. And your voice, especially 2 hours in, gets wrecked. That's it. Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you for pointing out an insecurity for a streamer. There or there. Apparently I feels hot. Feet are hot? Dude, my feet are fucking hot. I need to turn the fan up actually. Which is also going to negatively impact my voice because I'm going to be breathing in fan air. Hopefully. Tell me if it's too loud. I mean, if it is, it's tough shit. But tell me if it's too loud because I don't want the fan to drown out anything, or just make it have awkward sounds in your ears. So we knew that obviously Empower was going to get altered because they altered it with a skill or set they introduced earlier. Fiery Breath increased the duration of its ability to 20 seconds, up from 10. Sound awesome. Thank you, Lizzie. Much appreciated. Don't listen to Homo Single Barrel. He's done that twice now. He doesn't understand social cues. Cues even. He doesn't know that walking into a room and telling a girl she should put makeup on is a bad thing. I have loads on today. I'm joking. I'm joking. Empower and Chains increase the duration of Empower granted to this morph to 10 seconds, up from 3. That, although you could have it in your group, again, that could be on a dummy too. You could have Galloway on a dummy, giving everyone Empower.
Drinks all around.
Thank you very much. You could have Galloway on a dummy, giving everyone Empower, because we could argue that that is a buff that people use, because they do. I do.
Drinks all around.
Thank you for the follows. That, if you chose to use that morph, is a lot of light attack damage from the DK if you do choose to use it, unless you have it in your group as a buff anyway. But also, alongside the heavy attack bonus, if you're stacking that too, that's big. Reduce the damage per tick by 17%. But we also know that the duration is going to make a big difference. You seem a little warm. I'm fucking cooking, dude.
Drinks all around.
Homo Single Barrel has got a rage thing. Did someone fart? No, they didn't. Talking shit and farting are two different things, dude. Thank you for the follows. Love Whip. This morph now causes the ability to split the cost of... Oh. This morph now causes the ability to split the cost to half Stam and half Magicka. What a Stam Whip, bro. Now, those people that say that, by the way, you're precious. We do have two very different morphs, and I know you don't want both of them to be flame, but do you really want one to be exactly the same, but be green? Is that the complaint? Because stats don't matter anymore. The highest resource is what it scales off of. So if you have a fuck ton of stamina, but you can maintain your magical bar, technically you got a Stam Whip. It scales off of that. But anyway, they've altered that a little bit. Thank you for the bits. Much appreciated. A Single Barrel needs to pinch in and get you one of those Dyson humidity fans. Grave, that is what is sitting right beside me right now. Look. It's 28 now. It's gone down a little bit. That is for the fan. It's right beside me. And it's so fucking hot, it's not helping. You like the green like Hulk... Like me green like Hulk Smash, indeed. Anyway, Single, thank you for that, but welcome to the stream. They spam the whip hard mechanics, preferably before a stun or roll. Anyway, let's carry on. Reduce the stacking damage of Molten Whip to 20% per stack, down from 33%. Excuse me. Increase the weapon and spell damage to 100 per tick, up from 75. So that is Siphon Fury. So every time you use an Ardent Flame ability, you get 75 spell damage up to 3. Now it's been enhanced. So you've got two choices, basically. Stack it up and take advantage of the spell damage and continuously run Ardent Flame abilities, but don't use the whip. Or use 3 abilities, then whip, 3 abilities, then whip. If you've used the Burn DK before, you know exactly how that works, as we're using Unrelent and Grip, which is basically free if you can't CC the target. And then you just chain, whip, chain, whip. And the actual damage output from crit or non-crit for that actual chain, alongside the third whip damage output, actually does do more damage than just spamming the whip without the benefit. If you want to know more about that, put Burn in the chat. DK got blown into bits in PvP. I wonder if it's still going to be decent class on DPS on PvE. Of course it is, because every single class can play every single role in the game, full stop. It just depends on whether you, as a player, can adapt or not. Some people can't adapt and they cry first before they try. Relies on burst damage. Not necessarily. So having dots and ticks, you reduce 60% of the damage in half, and then people purge you. No. Kinch, I know you're typing really, really fast to try and get ahead of what I'm saying, but you missed half the stream. There is a set in PvP now that some people might want to use so they can get rid of negative effects. Which means long durated dots, ... Haha, I cleansed. But if you're packing Plague Breaker on that target, they cleanse, they go boom. There's always a counter. Anyway, we'll get further on with this. Weapon and spell damage proportion of Siphon Fury is no longer consumed when using the whip. That just changed things. So, if you keep up the duration of that particular buff and bonus, you can keep this bonus even if you use it. Ouch. That makes the whip very powerful as long as you can stack Siphon Fury and keep it. So the more Ardent Flame abilities you use in your rotation, the better. The trick is, however, the Ardent Flame ability up here lasts longer, so you will use it less often. So what do? Do you use it more often to keep this up, or do you maintain it for its actual full uptime and get the benefit from the overall damage? Choices. To help this ability become more available to hybrid builds, we've opted to take a very unique route for this ability, where the cost is now split evenly between Magicka and Stamina, and I don't think this is going to be the first ability to do so. In doing so, we hope to see more unique interaction with this skill, as well as aiding more stamina-focused Dragonites in sustaining the skill. So if you're Stam DK, you can push further with that particular whip, because it doesn't nuke your magical bar so quickly. You can gain back your Magicka from the burning status effect and get more whips in per rotation as in comparison to what you could before. Reduce the damage number bonus of this passive to 25% down from 33. And that's not massive. Searing Strike, increase the duration of this ability to 20 seconds. Saw that coming. Reduce the damage per tick by 25%. Yeah, but we've got a longer duration. Burning Embers, increase the amount of healing this morph allows up to 100% off the damage caused, up from 50. The previous reduction was made to stopgap before its pass could be completed. Now the ability deals less damage per tick, we feel comfortable bumping it back up. So you'll heal every single tick, but the tick is every 2 seconds, so you'll heal 10 times like you did before, but it'll be stretched. You have a ton of experience in the game, but as an experienced PvPer, you've already stopped me there, because what you just tried to do is shout over top me. And with Plague Break nerfs, you will see later, DKs literally are not worth running in PvP. You got that from just patch notes. There's a reason I do this and you don't. Moving on, I appreciate the panic, but don't panic. This morph now increases damage done per tick 9 to 12%, down from 17 to 20%, as it now stacks up for longer to the higher value. Again, 20 seconds is a fucking long time. The problem is that would actually go to 14. So will that go to 24? Because it's 10 at base, you have an increase in duration with the Ardent Flame passives. Dark Talons reduce the cost of this ability, and Burning Talons morph to 3780 down from 4050 to help them be slightly more accessible in unsustainable and unusable. I can't even say it. In usability, and to better account for the fact that Immobilize may fail in many cases. It may. That's true. Reduce the cost of its ability and morphs to 3510 down from 4050. Okay, fine, whatever. That's down a bit. Just bear in mind, when stuff like that comes up and someone just shouts like mad in the chat and goes, yeah, well, I know you do stuff and things, but I do this. Do you want to recognize the experience and listen to it, or do you want to just tell me that you know more than me? You might, but it's a bit rude. Assuming that I don't have a fucking clue about PvP is incredibly naive. You just don't get to see it on live stream. The reason you don't get to see it on live stream, because streamers sometimes have to protect themselves from stream sniping because it's stressful for the streamer and the audience. However, there's plenty of PvPers out there, so if you want to see people actively playing PvP and see all the rides they have to go through, you're more than welcome to watch them. If you want to watch me PvP, wait until the events happen. Originally, this was higher in cost to account for the fact that initial hit damage and healed, but since these values are each half of an area of effect-based attack, it wasn't gaining additional ability functionality, which dictates cost. So we're easing it back to make up for the oversight. Lots of people do use that, especially if they're using, what the fuck is it called? Elfbane. So using the flame version of it to get the higher duration, but it was fucking expensive. This is not a massive drop, but you will see an impact of that, especially once you've got cost reduction abilities and passives and bonuses and stuff affecting it. You see what you mean? Seeing pain to test, it looked well painful indeed. Just bear in mind, it doesn't matter how much you lose your shit over something that you haven't tried. I'm not going to agree with you until I've physically tested it myself and found out that it's crap. If it is crap, I'll tell you. I'll be openly honest about it, and I'll say why, and I'll give feedback to Zos. But sitting there doing this is not me. Get over it. Protective scale. Increase the duration of the snare and immobilization immunity to 4 seconds up from 2. That's actually broken as fuck. Not to say it's a bad thing, because 2 seconds is pretty fucking pointless, but 4 seconds is a substantial change to that, so really nice. Spike Dominus ability and its morphs now deal flame damage. Good, because it was doing magic damage, which didn't make sense for a DK. Also, that does mean that if you apply the fire damage in multiple targets, you could get a burning status effect, which could give you resources back for applying a resistance buff. Volatile armor. Increase the duration of the damage over time by 20 seconds, up from 10, and reduce the damage per tick by 33%. So they've increased the duration by 50 and reduced the damage by 33. You love that button already? Good. I've also got this button, which is amazing.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
It doesn't matter how mad you are, you're not going to dictate to me. I'm trying to explain how things are working and how I see them as a creator and as someone that literally does this for a job. Not to say that you don't know stuff. I'm just saying, calm the fuck down and don't be mad when you haven't tried yet. There's nothing wrong with being excited or concerned or even potentially worried. But dictating what things are when you haven't tried it yet, especially when we've got weeks of testing to go, just shows how much intelligence you lack. That's a generalized statement about the overall fucking shitfest, not necessarily aimed at anyone in particular. As I land on the law. Pedro, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. I enjoyed DK in PvP and PvE. It's well-rounded class, especially with your builds. Thank you very much. Even better is the first day of the PTS and already the rage. Happens every single time. Trust me, this is what, 35? 35 updates? I've seen it all before. It's not new. Doesn't matter how aggressive someone gets. I've seen it all before. These abilities now tick every 2 seconds. Oh, Ash Cloud, sorry. This ability is morphs now lasts 20 up from 15. That was going to be obvious. These abilities now tick every 2 seconds. Again, obvious. Rather than every 1. Free up time on the server. Free up calculations. Great. Increase the cost per tick of Ash Cloud and Cinderstorm to 630 to match the frequency adjustments. Increase the healing per tick to 94% increase. They did say that AoEs would be stronger. These buttons push them again. Only worry is that I don't close the gap. What thin? I think I know what you meant. Don't worry, it'll be fine. Me too, I just sit back and just relax and see what goes live and readjust my builds. That's the idea. That's the point of an MMO in the first place. It's constantly going to be evolving and constantly you're going to have to adapt. Otherwise, stagnating is boring. If you keep a massively multiplayer online game exactly the same throughout its entire lifetime, it is doomed to fail. The business goes down, the game goes down, the community goes down, and everyone plays something else. If you keep it fresh, constant additions to the game, constant updating or adapting to how the mechanics work and how the base game kind of grows throughout, that will keep people coming back or continuing in what they're doing. Same shit every day only works for about
Winning.
5
I love
people.
winnings. Drinks all around.
Rusted, thank you very much. Increase the healing per tick. We've done it already. The ability and Cinderstorm now tick tick 1 extra time over their full duration. Yeah, basically, because it was running over 18. It says 15, but it wasn't. Cinderstorm increased the healing per tick with this morph by 88%. And Eruption reduced the cost per tick to 315 down from 378 to ensure it's cost similar amount of other dots. So that's over a longer duration slightly as well. That when people get triggered. Yeah, I mean, the difference is being triggered about something with that edgy fucking trendy word is dealt with in 2 different ways. Sometimes people look at it like, oh my god, I'm so pissed at that, but okay, I get it. Other people lose their shit. They don't know how to react when something irks them. They should have posted warning: if you gauge your skill but have much more damage you do versus a newer player, buckle up. Yeah, basically. Increased damage per tick by approximately 7%. So the longer duration, but the damage has gone up, but we knew that anyway. So over time, it'll be roughly the same, but you've got more control over it. Lord Maker in the room. Mike, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. I just got told a moment ago that I'm appreciated for what I do, but PvP. Mike, I don't know anything about PvP, apparently. Ignis Weapons. This morph now extends the duration of the effects to up to 60 seconds. That was obvious. Again, all these obscure 5 seconds here and there. Doesn't make sense putting it to 50. It makes sense on 20, 40, 60. That kind of stuff. What? Yeah, indeed. Molten Armaments. This morph now grants the caster
I love
power.
Drinks all around.
Oh my god. So, the heavy attack for the DK has been nuked. But, for those million DKs out there that never use that skill, even though you're fully aware the DK has the strongest heavy attack in the game, you just got Empower if you choose to use that skill. No. Sure, you could have Galloway in your group already and give everyone Empower. Great. But in a group that doesn't have it, if you choose to use that skill now, the DK doesn't have an execute anyway because it doesn't fucking need it because it aggressively fucking excels with its damage over time. You just got Empower built in for adding an extra skill. That's fucking dirty. So you give the whole group Major Sorcery and Brutality and shit like that. And you've got Empower full out. I know way too many players who think DPS on a dummy is some kind of skill gauge. My response is please also try to stay alive in the trial more. Yeah, I mean, it's good to practice on, but it doesn't reflect actual content as much as people think it does. And those people that think it does actually spend less time in content than they do on dummy. You can choose a template character on the top left-hand side of the screen and mirror your own from the live server. You can actually. It depends on what server it is, but you can actually just make a 3600 character. My solo arena DK is crying. Don't cry, Lizzie. You've got Empower on tap. So instead of having to heavy attack to benefit from the skill that's constantly running, every light attack is now stronger. Don't admit, Adam. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. Petrify. This ability in its morphs now deal flame damage rather than magic damage. Good. Makes sense. Necro. Grave. I need to go for a pee. I will be right back. Don't lose your shit. My God, pissing like a fucking racehorse. Excuse me. See how beautiful it is? The chair? Oh. Do you want to see the back of it? Check this shit out. Look at that. It's not an Ebon Heart chair. It's got all three of them, but I'm not going to lift that up because I'm fucking knackered. Just caught up on a statement regarding PP and jumping ahead in the patch notes. Read in, insta-delete, keep it at if you get timed out. Yes, correct. So there is a rule for this particular stream, and that is basically let me read the patch notes. While I'm reading that particular section, you are more than welcome to comment about it. But if you get ahead of me, just to make the chat pay more attention to you, because that's exactly what you're doing, no. So, again, if I'm talking about Boneyard right now, and you talk about Boneyard, great. But if I'm talking about Boneyard, but you're talking about shit down here, wrong. You're just trying to tell the audience what you think you know. And I've lost it. Where the fuck has it gone? I had that highlighted. Bastard! I've broken the game now. We have to leave. There it is. So, Boneyard. This ability in its morphs now tick every 2 seconds over 20 seconds. Again, Mike, I told you this the other day. I said this was coming, dude. 10-second damage over time of 20. Knew it was coming. Rather than every second over 10 seconds. Again, less stress on the server. Still 10 ticks, but stretched. Noob question, what's Empower? Empower is generally an ability that you can get from a buff from yourself or somebody else or whatever that increases the strength of your light and heavy attacks. Previously it was 40%, now it's 1.8k. He said bone. I did say bone on live stream. Oh no. Increase the damage per tick by approximately 21%. You know that was going to happen because obviously the duration is increased by 50. Fix an issue where this ability and its bonus's visual effect were consuming a corpse would fail to play. Bugs. Fix bugs. Death Knell. Canal. The passive now increases your critical chance by 4 to 8%. Previously up from 2.2 to 4. So that used to be 10. 10 per skill. Then they nuked the fuck out of it. Put it down to 4, and now it's back up to 8. So, not bad. Not bad. This passive now increases your damage done with damage over time effects by 10%, down from 15. Damage over time has been enhanced as far as the damage is concerned over that long durated period, but it will feel less impactful over a very short fight. So that obviously makes sense. If you're in a long fight, you're going to benefit a lot from that. Boneyard would be a good name for a brothel, just saying. Tipper, I'm going to call your parents. Shock and Siphon. This ability and its morphs now tick every 0.666 milliseconds. Sorry, 0.666 milliseconds. Over 20 seconds rather than every 333 over 12. So that's balanced out again. Increase the damage per tick by approximately 30%. You're going to see a big impact when it comes to damage over time, application, and efficiency in comparison to before. You're not going to have to activate them as often, but you are going to find that trash pulls are going to be reapproached. They're going to be considered slightly differently. You might need more AoE burst than AoE damage over time because the short duration that you would normally be in there wouldn't give you the most out of your skills anymore. The longer you're in there, the stronger it gets. So it's going to have to be quick fire shit. So I think a lot more AoE spammables are going to be used in big trash pools versus the usual volley, wall of elements, and all the rest of it. I don't think they're going to be removed, but I think they're going to be thought about as to how you would approach those situations because of their lessening of their effectiveness over a short duration. Mike has a nice hammer. He does indeed. Does that make sense? Can you explain to me why DK's dot abilities got nerfed on top of the dot changes, but something like Boneyard ability got buffed? They didn't get nerfed. They got stretched because what you have to consider is when it comes to Venomous Claw, they didn't involve the rest of the skill. The skill does elevate. They didn't put that bit in there. Because the assumption is you already know how the skill works. So with it getting stronger every 2 seconds anyway, it's on par with it. Also, what you have to consider is Boneyard is area of effect, not single target. So again, while Venomous Claw can stick to the target even if it moves, Boneyard will have to be recasted if the target moves. So they have to allow for resource management and damage output at the same time. So it's about balance. If something can be stuck to something, it's a lot easier to apply. If something has to be recasted all the time, they have to consider how much you spend versus the damage that you do. Obviously, looking at it from a dummy perspective, people might not quite get that, but in content, you'll see the difference. See, AoE versus single target. Correct, yes. Rapid Rot, read that already. Read that. Skeletal Mage, the ability... Oh, careful. The ability and its morphs now last 20 seconds up from 16. Good, because that was skew whiff as fuck. Reduce the cost of these abilities to 2900 down from 4320. I am losing my fucking voice here. Skeletal Arcanist morph increased the radius of the splash damage to 5 meters up from 4. And the Archer increased the damage per tick to 15 up from 5. Again, single target stuff. Target might move. Could still reach. Not as easy to apply as an AoE one. Hungry Scythe. The heal over time from this morph now lasts 10 seconds and ticks every 2 rather than lasting 5 and ticking every 1. Again, stretched, easier to control, and less stress on the server having to register everything every 1 second instead of doing it every 2. Increase heal over time to 6.198% of your maximum health up from 2. That is fucking huge. Grave Grasp, this ability and its morphs. Minor Maim now lasts 10 seconds up from 5. Good, because 5 seconds is nothing. Light attack, skill, move backwards, come back in, fuck it, run out. 10 seconds is much easier to manage. Ghostly Embrace increased the duration of Minor Maim on its morph at 15 seconds up from 7. Good, because Minor Maim, again, on most cases can be 10 to 15 seconds. 7's a weird fucking number. Increase the duration of Empower, granted this morph for 10 seconds up from 5. Less spam. And the Empower from pets now increases their damage and healing potency by a flat 1k rather than 40%. The Empower can no longer target Blast Bones as well. Awkward. So that isn't counting. But everything else got buffed on it, so whatever. Easier to use. You don't have to light dot, switch, blast bones, light dot, switch, blast bones, over and over and over and over. You just dot, spam it, get a couple of spammers in between, hit it again, couple dots, couple of hits even. It's a lot easier to manage. I am struggling with my voice now. I'm losing it. Living Death. Restoring Tether. This ability in its morphs now tick every 0.666 seconds from 333, same as the above. Increase the healing per tick by 81%. They did explain the healing stuff earlier. Minor Maim changed. They ruined the game. The end is near. Shut up, Donor. Reduce the healing per tick of this ability in its morphs by approximately 48%. Do you know why? Single target heals are easier to apply, so they shouldn't necessarily be stronger. The difficult ones to apply, or the ones that constantly have to be recast or moved, are the ones that should benefit from higher strength, because they are technically harder to maintain. Fix an issue where this ability in its morphs could sometimes lose a tick. Spirit Guardian. Fix an issue where this transferred damage from the morph was not applying to the Guardian's health, circumventing the risk of the ability ending early in situations. You are taking a significant amount of damage over time, over the duration even. It will now die after absorbing 3k total damage, meaning after the damage reductions, you can take up to 30k damage during its duration. That's harsh. That's harsh. Before, it was 10% of the damage all the time. Now, it's, it'll die. Funny how to put 66 on the Necro. I know, right? That might be a bit awkward. But since your dots are running, should be easier to maintain that one skill. Nightblade. Okay. Killer's Blade. This morph now causes the execute scaling to change to a linear increase up to 400% of the damage done to the targets under 50. Rather than the static 300% done to targets under 25%. Execute for the Nightblade is now under 50%, like the Jesus beam. Connor, thank you very much. Massively appreciate it. Of course, Bit and Cake in the chat. That is a big plus for 2 reasons. 1, potentially you can get more damage out of it at low health. 2, you ready? I cannot tell you how many Nightblades think they're hot shit and spam that execute at high health. For those of you that keep pressing that button too soon, now you might benefit. Congratulations, shit Nightblades. I'm joking, but it does help. Heal from this morph now scales off your highest offensive stats rather than your max health. Good, because that was only really beneficial to a really tanky character. Now if you built for DPS, your highest stat does count. So you built for Stam, more from that. You built for Mag, more from that. Terrified of Nightblades PvP.
I love winnings. Drinks all around.
Thank you for the drop. You are welcome. What drop? I'm joking. Blur. This ability in its morphs now reduce the cost of your next dodge roll by 10% whenever you take direct damage. Stacking up to a maximum of 100% with half a second cooldown between each stack. Reduce the duration of this ability to 20 seconds down from 26. Standardization of timings on the skills. Sure, that makes sense. The fact that you can dodge roll and it gets the cost down makes you a really slippery fucking Nightblade. You don't play Nightblade personally? Each to their own, dude. This ability now more... Mark target we're looking at, by the way. This ability in its morphs now once again costs 2700 magicka rather than having no cost. These abilities will now heal you to full health when a marked enemy dies to sweeten the risk-reward gameplay. This heal ignores Battle Spirit, but does not ignore other healing reductions or bonuses. Fuck me. So a Nightblade tank with 90k health could mark a target, and when it's dead, boom, full bar. That right there, full health, is broken as fuck. Nightblade will be unkillable. Dude, you run into a group of people as a Nightblade bomber. Mark 1. Boom! You took loads of health from loads of dots. One of them fucking dies. That one that you marked. Bang, full health, run the fuck off again. You are going to be a spam bomber. Is a risk running into the group of people? Yeah, it is. Maiden Argonian Nightblade PvP, Shadowblade for role-playing. Awesome. That's going to be nuts. Tanks are going to be unfucking killable. PvE or PvP. And bombers are going to benefit. If you mark a target and kill it, and then someone's trying to whack you, full health, run away. Reaper's my Nightblade would be squishy now. No. The other way around. Reaper's Mark, increase the duration of Major Berserk granted to 10 seconds, up from 5. That's fucking nuts. The morph no longer increases healing done, as this would be unnecessary. Yes, it would. I rarely see Nightblade brawlers. I always get ganked by them. Indeed. You hated Nightblades until I created one. I sense a new Nightblade tank called Mark. Well, now that's not going to happen, DJ. Thanks for spoiling that one. Teleport Strike, Lotus fan. Increase the duration of damage over time to 20 seconds up from 10. And reduce the damage per tick by 23%. Again, 50% increase the duration, 23% damage reduction. The longer it lasts, the more you benefit. The shorter it lasts, the less you do. Flawless, indeed. Oh, man. There's 3 Nightblades on my channel, actually. Oh, no, 4. There's 4. Shadow. Aspect of Terror. This ability and its morphs now apply Major Cowardice. Hide that up. That's 430 reduction to weapon and spell damage. To enemies hit for 10 seconds. Increase the target cap of this ability to 6 up from 3. They didn't even show the stats anyway. I didn't need to cover it up. So, there are very, very, very few areas in the game that apply that. Very few sets. Vicosa actually applies that. That's on... What the fuck is that from? Moonhunter Keep. With it being part of a Nightblade arsenal, that again, whether it's a DPS or a fucking tank, that is very strong. That protects your group a lot. Mass Hysteria. This morph now removes the target cap from the ability. Okay, so no cap. Manifestation of Terror. This morph no longer fires 2 traps and instead fires 1 at your target location, as it was allowing you to effectively double the target cap and set on a morph distinction of Mass Hysteria. Yes, because you're supposed to use this if you want multiple targets, this if you want 1. Reduce the duration of the trap to 20 seconds from a minute. Reduce duration of Fear to match the base ability. Reduce the cost of the morph. And the morph no longer summons a pet from a brief second to fear the target, and now instead immediately fears the target to reduce situations where it could fall off. Also, since it doesn't have a visual, less stress on the server again. What did I miss? Okay. Path of Darkness. This ability and its morphs now last 20 seconds up from 10. Fan-fucking-tastic. This ability now tick once every 2 seconds instead of every 1. Same as everything else. And now applies their effects instantly rather than after a delay. Because it's after the first tick that it fires. Twist and Path reduce the damage per tick of this morph by 29%. But again, it's increased the fucking duration. It's doubled the duration. It's not 50%, it's 100%. Doubled it. Nightblade, love, let's go. Indeed, Fulcrum. Refreshing Path, reduce the healing per tick by approximately 3%. It's not massive. Dark Cloak. This morph now heals for 17 to 20% of your missing health per tick, rather than 9 to 9.2. Nightblade healing for yourself has become fucking mad. Absolutely fucking mad. Summon Shade. This ability in its morphs now lasts 20 seconds rather than ranking up to 12 to 18. Increase the damage per hit of Summon Shade and Shadow Image by approximately 16%. Reduce the cost of this ability and the Dark Shade morph down to 2970 from 4k. Dark Shade, reduce the damage per hit on this morph by approximately 25%, but it lasts longer. And Shadow Image, reduce the cost of this. Dude, that's fucking nuts. That's nuts, because it's hard to maintain as it is anyway because of the amount it costs. But also, the timing's skew-if as fuck. Buffing the damage output and making it last longer and making it cheaper is actually pretty good. I know, it says it drops the damage, but over time, it won't be. Veiled Strike, surprise attack. This morph now always... What? No! I'm just going to throw it out there. Dummy humpers are going to be screaming about this, showing you how much higher their DPS is versus any other class because of the fucking always crit shit. Not when you're fighting a dragon. This morph now also always critically strikes when flanking an enemy. Fuck you. Fuck you. So, Nightblades have kept their fucking aesthetic, being sneaky, backstabbing ninjas. I get it. Wow. So you could build for no fucking crit whatsoever and still crit every single spammable. One dot, spam, 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 spam. Except for your execute, obviously. Congratulations, Nightblade. You have been eaten nursed for so long. This patch is your time to shine. Hardly. They've been fine, dude. It's just people said their shit. Put Sting or Flawless in the chat. They've been absolutely fine. Concealed Weapon. This morph now passively grants minor expedition while slotted, increasing your movement speed by 25% while in sneak or invisible. Thank you for the links. This morph now also increases your weapon and spell damage by 300 for 15 seconds after leaving sneak or invisibility. Get ready. Currently, the Nightblade melee spamball options are a bit behind other melee spamballs in terms of both flavor and impact, because they're both basically the fucking same. So we're adjusting both morphs to give some love. Surprise attacks morph option reinforces the need for positioning as an assassin and continues to add some minor damage with the Sundered proc. Obviously, it does apply the minor bonus. While Concealed Weapon retains its stealthy and agile emphasis with less restrictions and more rewarding play when from the shadows. So if you want to be a stealthy, sneaky ninja, use that morph. If you want to be a backstabby crit all day bastard, use that one. Gideon definitely wrote his Nightblade changes for sure. Of course he did. He's the one doing the combat stuff. Sorry if that's confusing. Blade of War, indeed. Cripple. This ability in its morphs now lasts 20 seconds up from 10. Good, because it was such a fucking awkward skill. Reduces the damage per tick by 23%. Again, over a long duration, that's not going to be a negative. Over a short duration, it is. The morph now reduces the cost of the ability to 2.7, down from 2.9. Whoopie-doo. Diz asks, can we please have a Nightblade changes now? Indeed. Malevolent Offering. Health Offering morph increases the duration of Mending to 10 seconds up from 8. So they've standardized a lot of the timers. If it was 8, it's 10. If it was 18, it's 20. If it was 10, it's 20. They're trying to go 10 or 20 or nothing. You ready for sorcerer stuff? Crystal Shard. Crystal Weapon morph specifically. Reduce the damage of this ability by 41.5%. So that it now does 130% of a ranged spammable attack between both attacks rather than 200% of a melee spammable. Reduce the cost to 2.9 from 3.4 to make up for the above adjustments. In the previous update, we wanted to help reinforce the uniqueness of the morph by giving sorcerers the ability to change their rotation by having a spammable that persists through other ability activities. While we succeeded in this, not adjusting the damage of the morph caused it to spiral out of control in terms of raw DPS and burst potential. After spending a lot of time and testing, we believe we've hit the sweet spot where the morph brings something unique and powerful without being too over the top. So the definition for that is balance. Test it, see if you like it. Daedric Minds. Mike, watch out! Fix an issue where this ability and its morph could detonate instantly on a target multiple times. So, multiple minds are now gone. So, look at my face. You ain't scared? Yeah, me neither. That's what my face is doing. Not even fucking bothered. You could before always fire 2. You could manipulate the enemy to put it into a corner or something and fire 3. Now it's always going to be 1. There is now a short cooldown window where a target cannot be targeted again from mines to prevent moments of immense instantaneous bursts. You know what that means? Easy Sork was so fucking powerful they nerfed it. If it's shit, why did they do it? Just saying. Nobody uses mines. Yeah, right. This will also mean your mines will no longer detonate without dealing any damage to a target, vastly improving the viability of this ability in long-term encounters where a single enemy may walk through the area. Do you know what that means? Sometimes two could go off at once and not do any damage. One could pop, the other could pop, and that doesn't do anything. Now, with a small cooldown, if that enemy is still stuck in that mine area, the other one will go off shortly afterwards, so you still benefit, and maybe the third as well. And if the enemy walks through them, much like we use it already, it will pop and then pop again. Rather than both pop at once, it's pop and then pop again. And if you're doing a heavy attack between the two, if the cooldown is short enough, you'll still benefit from 2 pops from 1 spammable. They just balanced it, that's all. They've changed it. You see that? Did you see how that works? We'll test it, obviously. Dark Exchange. This ability in its morphs now restore the resources in increments of 2 seconds over duration up from 1. Reduce the healing in these abilities to 8k down from 8090. That's not a massive difference, but once you start stacking Mending and Vitality and stuff, it does get crazy. Heal the mines as well. Exactly. So that means that there is a gap, which will line up with your Dark Magic cooldown, the 0.5 seconds. So instead of firing 2 mines at once and getting 1 heal, you'll fire 1, wait, pop again, 2 heals. Dark Conversion Morph. This morph now increases the amount of healing and resources restored, rather than reducing the cost. As a result, the cost is now 3240 up from 2160, so that's a lot. It now heals up to 10k, immediately restores 4.5k magicka, and up to 3k magicka over the time, rather than 8k health and 3.6k magicka. That's pretty fucking huge. And 2.4 over time. Dark Deal increases the cost, again, 2.7 from 2.4. This morph now also increases the secondary resource return over 10 seconds rather than 20. So it's a shorter burst replenishment rather than a really, really long buff that you can easily maintain. They want you to place that carefully. There's a gap with 1 target, T-Dub, if there are multiple targets, Evil Grin. Exactly that. So that's true. If you hit 3 at once, they all pop. Bound Armor. This ability in a Bound Aegis morph now also grants minor protection for 10 seconds after casting. If you don't know how that works already, when you activate it, you get a 3-second period of time where all of your blocks take less damage. So then you're buffed as well. You've got more mitigation. Wait till you reach your temple nerves. Do not get ahead of the streamer. That is a rule I have placed several times. We're getting there. Bound Aegis. This morph now extends the duration of the effect as well. And the block mitigation now lasts 5 seconds instead of 3. And minor protection is 20 seconds long. Awesome. Bound Armaments reduce the damage per hit of this ability down by 38%. This ability no longer passively increases your light attack damage. Ouch! We're bringing this morph down to match a lot of hybrid adjustments that the class has received. It was originally intended to give Stamina Sorcerers a powerful option of DPS since they couldn't use any other of the shiny abilities, such as Haunting Curse or Crystal Fragments. Now that those can be properly utilized on any build, based on the fact that weapon and spell damage are a choice, and whichever one you scale into, regardless of the resource cost, that's what you scale off of. This ability was enabling too much power that could be dumped at a moment's notice when used in tandem with even just one of the others. Okay, so, I mean, it kind of makes sense, but we'll have to see how that actually works out. If you're building full into Stam or full into Mag, you might end up suffering, but if you're kind of mix and matching and getting in some other skills that kind of use the other bar as well, you might not have so much of an issue with the resources or the damage output. You're just going to struggle with your light attacks, which was their intention anyway. Balances. Dear oh dear. Shut up, Jimbo! Conjure Ward, Empowered Ward Morph. This morph now also grants you and your allies minor endurance as well. Still going to use the other one. Storm Atro. The one that gives Berserk. Reduce the duration of this ultimate and its morphs to 15 seconds down from 21. I'll admit 21 seconds was a bit awkward. 15? I would have thought they'd go 20, but okay. The base cost has been increased to 275 up from 200. Fucking ouch! But reduce in cost back down to 200 when at rank 4. Oh, I see what you did there. The base cost is 275 up from 200, but reduces the cost back down to 200 when at there. Your passives are going to kick in, but it's still going to be higher. Has it been tested yet on PTS? Of course it hasn't. The synergy charged lightning now goes to the synergizer. Remember what I said earlier? That Berserk can be used for the group, and multiple Atros could give the group the buff if individuals took the synergy. Look, that's why people don't get too far ahead sometimes, or shouldn't. The synergy charged lightning now goes to the synergizer and 5 nearby allies within a 12-meter radius, rather than the synergizer and the Atronach itself. This effect only targets players, as pets will inherit the owner's bonuses naturally. Greater Storm Atro. This morph now increases the damage of the Atro single target attack by 30% rather than increasing its duration. The other one, the morph now only uses its area of effect attack rather than a mixture of single target and AoE, and increase the frequency of attack to every 2 seconds. Major Berserk in area of effect. So if you drop an Atro, one person takes it, 8 seconds of Major Berserk for 5 other people and you. Someone else drops one, group buff again. Someone else drops one, group buff again. You basically now need less Atros and your whole group can get Major Berserk, which is what I fucking told you in the first place would happen if you stacked 2 sets that didn't give Major Berserk and you took it off of somebody else. 2 sets that don't give it, synergize with somebody that does. That is how you min-max, not just stick Berserk on everyone. If they take the synergy, which in practice I so rare that it gets boring. Raccoon. Depends on your group. Sounds like a learn to play problem with the groups that don't take synergies. 100%. Okay. The ultimate is currently persisting for too long and creating scenarios where certain builds can get multiples of the impact pets out, and producing significantly more damage than other ultimates in the game in relation to its cost. With a reduced duration, it's now much more reined in, with bringing more group utility with the improved synergy granting. Additionally, we've reinforced the distinction of the two morphs, where the charge Atro provides more AoE and the other one provides more single target melting. I like it. I'm happy with that. Remember when I told you that if something gets overused, it will get nuked? Kinra was overused. It was used on a dummy to show, hey, I've got Major Berserk all the time. You could get that from a Storm Atro. Now, not only are you locked out of your synergy, because you take it 8 seconds later, you can't take another one for another 12 on top of that. You could still gain from it because someone else can fucking take it because it's a group buff. That's quite nice. Which means instead of everyone stacking Major Berserk for themselves and then giving Minor Berserk 10 times over, which doesn't stack, you can actually use 2 sets and just take the fucking synergy. Is we even expected of all players? Expected? It's taught by all players in the tutorial. It's taught that light attacks are free. If you do weave, you will get more damage. If you don't, you won't. It's a choice. Take the synergy. Some abilities are cast just to give them. They are. So this is fucking mega. And kind of echoes what I've been trying to teach people in the fucking first place, but now they've buffed the shit out of it, so that's epic. Increase the duration of special ability from this. What are we looking at now? Unstable familiar. Increase the duration of special ability from this ability and summon volatile familiar to 20 seconds up from 10. That was Skuef. Fair enough.
Winning. I love winnings. Drinks all around.
Thank you for the follow. Reduce the damage per tick by 23%, but it's double duration, so whatever. Volatile familiar. This morph now stuns on the 4th and final ticks of the ability rather than only on the final. The fucking thing just stuns when a tank's trying to control the room.
I love winnings. Drinks all around.
What monster would you recommend for a tank? Godzilla? Yeah, correct. There's so many options in the game, like millions of options. Anything that I told you could be wrong straight away because your setup might not warrant it. Depends on your group. Correct. Winged Tormentor. Reduce the damage per hit of this morph's basic attack by 33%. Reduce the cost of the special ability by almost 270. And increase the bonus damage to targets above 50% to 60, up from 53. Ooh. So that hits harder, although it doesn't. So it's less and more. Whatever. It's not a massive change. Wayfarer, how you doing? Lightning form. You know what's going to happen here. This ability and its morphs now tick every 2 seconds rather than once every second. Increase the damage per tick by 100%. So that actually does balance out. Exactly. The morph now increases in damage by 12% per tick, up from 8, along with the frequency adjustment that will reduce the total maximum to 120, down from 160. Long fucking duration, though. Lightning Splash's ability to morph now deal every 2 seconds for 20 seconds! 20 seconds on liquid lightning, people. Fucking hell. Increase the damage per tick by 21%. So most of these abilities have had their duration increased and their damage reduced. This has had its duration increased and its damage increased. Aha. These abilities now properly tick one final time before ending. Noise. Templar. Off-balance users, don't worry. This passive now triggers after dealing damage with any attack rather than only Adric Spear abilities. So you do any attack, you get your Burning Light passive, you do some bonus damage. Increase the cooldown of stack generation to 500 milliseconds, up from 1. Okay, fine, whatever. And reduce the damage of the proc by approximately 33%. That's not the end of the world. The fact that you can now do this with any damage rather than just Adric Spear means your rotation will just accommodate for that regardless. Instead of jabs or nothing. Let's go. That's a slight boost, dude. Currently, this passive is strong, arming the template into only puncturing strikes as your spamble ability, removing a lot of potential for other abilities that center around different gameplay. While maintaining the original identity of keeping up the pressure against your primary target, we removed the restrictions of the damage source completely and added a longer cooldown window to reduce burst potential and message spam on the server, helping the passive stabilize to a more expected power budget while vastly improving its flexibility. Meaning you can use other skills, you're not restricted to that one. Here it comes. This ability and its morphs, puncture and strikes, now hits 3 times over a channel time of 800 milliseconds rather than 4 times over 1. Implementing new animations and visuals effects to match the attack cadence. Reduce the cost of the ability to 2295 down from 2700. Reduce the overall damage of the primary attack by 21% since its ability no longer incurs DPS loss while weaving within the 1 second global cooldown. And increase the damage of the area effect hits by approximately 7%. Reduce the duration of the snare by 0.5, whoopee fucking do, down from 1 second. As a main tank, a skill uptime DD wasn't great, so I'm excited to try these changes. Indeed. Reduce the healing of this morphs from 33% down from 40. That's not a game changer because you hit multiple targets anyway. Fix an issue where this morph was only healing up to 5 times in a large target count encounters instead of intended 6. So while this may be 7% reduction, we've got 1 more target out of it. Hope you do. Doesn't matter. Biting jabs, this morph now not only also increases the damage of error effect proportion of attack by 25%, in addition to the base damage of 7%. So one has heals, the other one does more area of effect damage. You like this song? Yeah, it's mega. What have we got there? Okay, that's good. Make sure we're not breaking any rules. This ability, Spear Shards by the way, and its morphs now deal damage over 2 seconds over 20, so you'd have to cast it every 10 seconds, and increases the damage by 33%. That got buffed. Dawn's Wrath, Purifying Light. This morph's heal now ticks every 2 seconds over 10 instead of 6. And reduce the healing per tick by 12%. Fair enough. It's a longer duration, it's fine. Solar Flare, increase the duration of Empower granted from this ability, and Dark Flare to 5 seconds up from 3. Solar Barrage, 20-second over time. So technically, at the moment, if you look at the off-balance build, Spears and Solar Barrage are both 20 seconds. That means you stay on your front bar for much, much longer. So they introduce a 1-bar option, so you don't have to swap all the time. But now they've made it so you don't have to swap that much anyway. Again, choices. Reduce the damage tick by 24%. Whoopie-doo. Again, this is going to stretch out. Longer duration, but you're going to benefit from the overall. The damage visual effect of this morph now only pulse when successfully dealing damage rather than all the time. They're more balanced than nerfs. Indeed. Sunfire, this ability, this morphs now lasts 20 seconds up from 10. Reduce the damage per tick by 25. So you can see here that this one has actually got buffed. Longer duration, more damage. Longer duration, less damage. Vampire's Bane, the morph now increase the duration on the effects by up to 10 seconds, up from 4. Excuse me. Cleansing Ritual, this ability in its morphs now lasts 20 seconds, up from 12. That's fucking insane, especially if you have Extended Ritual, because that's already, what, 24 seconds? These abilities now tick 1 extra time over their duration. Reduce the healing per tick and its ability on Extended Ritual by 3%, which is not the end of the world. Ritual of Retribution. Reduce the damage by 52%. Twice the duration, half the damage. And this morph now increases by 12% damage per tick. Wait, thank you very much. Beer and cake in the chat. So this used to tick every second for 5%, so it used to be a 50% increase over 10 seconds. They dropped the damage by half, but then what they've done is over time, over 10 different increments, is they've actually increased that by 120% once it gets to the last tick. So technically speaking, that should be slightly stronger than usual, if not very close to what it used to be. It just lasts longer. Healing Ritual, Hasty Prayer. Increase the duration of Minor Expedition granted from this morph by 10 seconds up from 5. Restore an Order. Just saw Delta's screen grab of him testing jabs on PTS. Congratulations. This ability and a Radiant Aura morph now grant a minor endurance, fortitude, and intellect to you. Fuck off. To you and nearby allies for 20 seconds, rather than applying minor magic still to enemies. It will still passively grant these buffs for slotting the ability as well. Wow. This morph now also extends the duration to 60 seconds. Minor buff for the whole group for a whole minute. That's big. That's really big. Animal Companion. Has the music stopped? Back off. Go to the other one. Back to where we were. There. We'll play it again from the beginning. Otherwise I get in trouble because it'll play copyright shit. Short jab channel, it might be easier to get more light attacks in. It would be because you beat the global cooldown. Let's see. Warden, Animal Companions.
I love weddings. Drinks all around.
Thank you for the follow. Advanced Species. The passive now increases your armor penetration by 495 to 990 per Animal Companion ability slotted, rather than damage increase. Depending on how you build, on a full medium setup, that might be a massive benefit. Depending on how you build and depending on your group. But that could also be a kick up the arse. Because if you're full light, you're going to have high pen anyway. That might not benefit you in the slightest. That might be shit. We're going to have to find out. Love every single change I'm hearing so far. So freaking good. Respect to Zos making everything much more balanced and flexible. Correct. There are a couple that are teeth suckers, but they're in the right direction. Cut and Dive. This morph now triples the status effect proc chance of the attack and causes the ability cost to be refunded when hitting an off-balance enemy rather than adding a stack of bleed. Free. Spammable. Off-balance. Pay attention to it. Take advantage of the base game mechanic. Get free Psycho Pigeons. Not bad. Personally not a massive fan of all this. That's vague. All of it? None at all. I feel like I could help with accessibility for a lot if the game is just taught more like a full-blown weaving tutorial. I have one on my channel. Put beginner in the chat. Screaming Cliff Racer. This morph now increases your weapon and spell damage by 100 for 10 seconds after hitting an enemy, and increases by an additional 200 when hitting an off-balance enemy, rather than increasing its damage by 15% based on your distance of the enemy. So basically, you pay attention to the off-balance mechanic and get more damage. The bonus weapon and spell damage is tracked separately, so you do not need to worry about losing a bonus when you hit an enemy that is no longer off balance. So you got two different buffs there. You got timed out, indeed. The thing is, right, it's... I don't want to use the wrong words for this because people just don't listen to what I actually mean and decide to get deliberately offended on the internet. But situations that you may have been put into, which is a privilege for some and entitlement for others, can sway the way that you see things. So when people try to force things like, maybe they should teach us better. Usually that comes from the perspective of someone that considers themselves really, really good and thinks that other players need to get good. What you need to understand is there are fucking millions of players, and everyone from top to bottom has a vast difference in their ability and skill level. Just get good is not the answer. Sometimes things need to be more accessible for those that are not as privileged or as experienced or skilled as yourself. If you're already really, really skilled, then it shouldn't be a problem. If you're not, then maybe you do need a helping hand. Maybe the tutorial isn't enough. Maybe balancing things out would benefit you and make you feel more validated inside a game that is supposed to accept everyone. So before you try and tell everyone you should get good at this game or else, maybe you should just play your own game and just leave them alone. I just said something good about the patch and people say you're a PvP and you're a Nightblade. I'm full PvE and I hate Nightblade. Balance is always good. It is, but it's going to be fucking mad. Absolutely mad. Complaining for the sake of complaining is never going to get you anywhere. Looking at it from both sides, fair enough. Looking at it from your own perspective and not considering anybody else whatsoever, I mean, there's a limit as to when that becomes a little bit personal and just blind. Anyway, moving on to this. We're going back and adjusting a morph distinction with these two abilities to help them focus on different areas where we feel the warden can struggle. With the other damage over time adjustments, cut and dive was created in situations where this was no answer to a deal with the ramping bleed. Thank you for the follow. And synergy with bleed sets was enabling specialized builds to bleed over the top. Instead, we reinforced the focus on sustain versus overall pressure with the new morphs, where cutting dives refund can help cut through targets repeatedly with ease, and Screaming Cliff Racer's passive power-ups helps more magical focus wardens even make up for their lack of damage output. So if you're a mag warden in the past, now you can hit a bit harder. If you're a stam warden, you got more recovery, or if you hybridize, whatever. You win the internet. What did you do? No. Really like it changes. Can't wait to see to try things out. Indeed, trying things out is going to give you answers. Whinging about stuff on paper is not. I play lots of PvP, but I don't do special PvP builds. Usually just go in on my Templar main, and I'm loving what I'm hearing. So you just smack stuff. That's also an option. Most people that talk too much about the way that they should or shouldn't build things and strategize and tactics and all the rest of it, lots of that is actually fluff, whereas in actual fact, they just turn up, hit stuff, and do the same as you're doing. Close by Raw Decree, indeed. Will PvP still be quite good and worth trying to learn it, or should I go only PvE? Dude, it's your game. You play what the fuck you want to play. None of this is deleted PvE or PvP. And anyone that tries to tell you otherwise is fucking idiot. ESO has been changing from the beginning, and it didn't. We would have died rather than still be here in 8 years. Correct. Or 8 years later. 100%. Scorch. Oh, no, I missed one. Falcon Swiftness. This ability in its morphs now also grant 4 seconds of snare and immobilization immunity after activating. Nuts. Much like the flappy wings for the DK. Scorch, careful. This ability in its morphs now lasts 10 seconds in total, detonating once after 4 seconds rather than 3, and then again after 6, after that rather than only once every 3. Reduce the damage by approximately 8%, which is meh, and also increase the cost, but you're going to cast it less, so whatever. This morph now reduces the time it takes for each damage event to occur, causing the damage to occur every 3 and 5 after that. You don't have to spam it. How do I get paid if I can't fight for the crowd? Lady Out of Time, thank you very much indeed for the sub. Massively appreciated. And also, Kvatch, Gladiator, I don't know. You're just going to have to sit outside and hope someone pays you. Swarm. This ability in its morphs now lasts 20 seconds up from 10. Good. Decrease the duration, the damage per tick by 23%. Again, it's going to last longer. Whoopie-doo. And Fetcher Infection. Increase the bonus damage on the second cast by 60% up from 50. That I don't think is going to be a massive difference. But, I mean, it's going to last 20 seconds, so whatever. Rabbi gets a sub for that one. What did he do? Oh, that there? Yeah, indeed. That's correct. That is very true. Well, Guardian, the bear with this ultimate... Sorry, the bear from this ultimate and morphs now attacks every 2 seconds instead of a mixture of timers. DJ! Come on! Thank you very much. Massively appreciate it. Of course, Beer and Cake in the chat. If you haven't said thank you already for the gifted sub, make sure you do. DJ is up to 220 gifted subs on the channel. What a fucking legend. Thank you very, very much. Goes this way. Some people will leave with too many changes. Some people will leave with no changes. Do you know what? In reality, actual fact, life, real stuff, the people that said they're leaving aren't leaving. If you're going to quit something, you'll quit. You won't try and slam the door really, really loud and then look back to see who cares. And everyone that ever says, I quit, comes back. The only people that quit are the ones that don't say a fucking word. And 9 times out of 10, it's not the patch that does it. It's just their time to do things, and maybe they haven't got enough time to play a game anymore. They just use that as an excuse. There. Reduces the damage of the bear's passive attacks by 19%, but it's going to be better per tick wise because it's going to hit every 2 seconds rather than being really, really weird and fluctuating. You came back twice. You never quit. Increase the cooldown of Crush and Swipe attack to 8 seconds, up from 5, so it better lines up with the CC immunity timers, so its attack can stun enemies. Good, because it was hitting immune targets a lot. The active ability Guardian's Wrath now has a 700 millisecond cast time for the bear, not your own cast, so that it properly matches up with their attack animation and reduces the distinct potential of the attacks. Feral Guardian. This morph now quintuples 5 times, just in case. The status chance application of hemorrhage instead of guaranteeing the effect. To reduce the ease of access to the status effect without investment into applying it. So basically charged and done, or unleash terror and done. Eternal Guardian morph. This morph now also increases the execute scaling of the special active to 150% up from 100. Big hits from execute. Well, from ulti. As long as the game has whales buying stuff from the marketplace, the game won't miss anyone but the whales. Green Balance, Heal and Seed. Button Seeds now increase the heal per tick of its morph by 3%. Nature's Grass, reduce the healing per tick of Nature's Embrace by approximately 33%. Already went over this. Single target heals, whether they're AoE, single target heal over time or insta heals, are easier to apply than ground-based ones because people move. So they had to reduce their effectiveness. Arctic Wind. This ability and Polar Wind no longer deal damage over their duration. Basically, they're a CC and a heal and damage. It's Crystal Frags all over again. Too many dipping into lots of different things all at once rather than focus on what it should be doing. Healing over time effect now tick every 2 seconds over 10 rather than once every second over 5. So much like the non-selfish vigor, longer duration, similar heal. Better for your resources as well. Increase the healing per tick to 6% of your max health up by 2.5. That's huge. This morph now causes the initial heal and heal over time to target an additional ally rather than only the initial heal. So big burst and heal. And increase the healing over time by 20%. That's a very unique scenario though. That's not a whole group. This morph now causes the initial heal to scale with your highest offensive stats rather than max health. So DPS Wardens, you gotta heal. This morph now causes heal over time to be converted to damage over time. This morph no longer ranks up in cost reduction. And this morph now stuns on the second and final ticks rather than requiring to hit targets 5 times in succession. The stun is no longer unblockable. 2 different versions. One for big ol' heals, and the other one for however the fuck you build, have a heal and some damage over time as well. Crystallized shield, don't fuck with this. Fix numerous visual errors. Okay, fine. Fix an issue where the shield could fail to grant its full value when recasted. And we'll open this up first. Fix an issue where the third projectile would fail to visually appear in many cases. This morph no longer has a 500 millisecond cooldown, as it was allowing the ability to sometimes absorb more than 3 projectiles. Since the projectile limit exists and this morph's damage return is not bound by a duration, but rather charges, the cooldown does not need to exist. This does, however, mean that builds that weave multiple projectiles in tandem will feel extreme pain when attackers use users with this morph. So before you could put the skill up, take a hit, take a hit, take a hit. Now if you just get fucking rapid fired, it's going to fall off. You'll still benefit from it, but it's going to fall off quick. Frozen armor. Increase the amount of armor granted with this passive to 295 to 990, up from 250 to 500. So more resistances for putting Winter's Embrace abilities on your bar. Ice Fortress. Increase the duration of the morph to 30 seconds, up from 25. Mike, I said about this the other day. I said it was going to happen. Change is good, or you get stale. Yes, and stale is shit. You throw it in the bin. This ability in its morphs now tick every 2 seconds over 20 seconds rather than over 12. The thing is, dude, and for everyone else as well, if everything stayed exactly the same, you get bored. Don't take this as an opportunity to complain about how what you like to use is broken. Take it as an opportunity to see what you can do to improve it now that it's getting changed by default.
Winning. I love winnings. Drinks all around.
Thank you for the follow. Part of a massively multiplayer online game is, it's in your terms of service as well, is to know that things are going to change. It's there. You pressed OK when you started the game. You confirmed that you're okay with things changing. This is a change. So see how it affects your build, and then use your brain to adapt and see how you can take on the changes and still continue to play the character you like. That's the whole point of it. Sitting and going, oh my god, you broke my build. It's not personal. They didn't change the patch just for you. That's an entitled perspective. See what you can do to change things. And in the meantime, this is day 1 of the PTS. There's going to be like 4 or 5 weeks of it. So things can still change dramatically before then. The passive-aggressive stream titles I see when looking at the ESO page on Twitch, hilarious. That's not passive-aggressive. That's fact. There's a difference. But nice try. The ability and its morphs now tick every 2 seconds over 20 seconds rather than every second over 12. I've read that one already. So, not yours. Oh, you've seen some. I'm not gonna say names. I have to remain professional in this position. But yes, there has been some screams. Drink both, of course. Beer, A beer or B beer? Both. You're right. The game will be stale without changes. However, change doesn't always mean good. Well, again, you never like anything, Jimbo. So, who fucking cares? Jimbo's never going to come back again. Increase the cost of the abilities of Winter Revenge to 3780 up from 3240. You only use that every so often anyway, and with it having a 20-second duration instead of 10, that is not going to be noticeable. You have to spend 540 more magicka over the future 10 seconds rather than casting it twice. Technically, your recovery, efficiency, resource management, all the rest of it is actually up. Why are some gamers so whiny? They're not real gamers. They are just complainers. Just release good stuff and I will like it. Fucking Jimbo. Increase the damage per tick of this ability and grip and shards by approximately 11%. And grip and shards morph. Increase the cost of this ability by 3510 up from 3240. Again, same issue. Not a problem overall because that's a larger duration or longer duration. The 330 magicka cost extra or whatever the fuck it is not going to be impactful. Winter's Revenge decreased the damage per tick of this morph by approximately 33%. Again, damage is down per tick, but it lasts longer, so whatever. People forget that X skill got buffed in damage 2 patches ago, but cried at the rebalance this patch. Indeed. Not a single vampire buff that's worth whining about. Sad, cured vampire noises. Don't get ahead of the streamer. But, I mean, if you want to build a vampire, build a vampire. I've got a build for vampires, actually. Bow. Volley. This was going to get changed to 20 seconds, obviously. I even said this in Mike's stream the other day. 20 seconds. Maelstrom weapon users. You'll like this. 20 seconds up from 10. And increase the damage per tick. That didn't get the same treatment as a lot of the other dots. Most of them had a dip in damage because the longer duration would mean over time they would make more damage out of it. This got a buff per tick and a longer duration. And you can use it with the Maelstrom weapon. And as how this morph now increases the duration of the effect by 10 seconds up from 4. So that's even fucking longer. Poison Arrow. This ability in its morphs now lasts 20 seconds. That's really nice with a Master's Bow because sometimes if you had like a 12-second rotation, that could fall off for a couple of seconds. That's now more efficient. Poison Injection. Increase the execute scaling and its morphs up to 120% up from 100%. Destruction Staff. All of elements. Here we go. This ability in its morphs now deal damage every 2 seconds over 20 seconds rather than every 1 second over 10. and increase the damage per tick by 33%. Wall of Elements got buffed. Elemental Blockade, this morph now increases the duration by 10 seconds up from 4. So instead of being the usual 14 seconds, that should be technically 20. But if we count 20 as a standardized amount, that will technically be a 30-second skill. Makes things much, much easier for people. Wall of Elements, 30 seconds. Spam for 28 seconds. Recast the fucking thing. Done. Destructive Touch. This ability and the Destructive Reach versions now last 20 seconds up from 10. And reduce the damage per tick by 25%. Destructive Clench, i.e. the taunt. The Frost Clench now costs, it's really hard to say these words sometimes, 2.7k up from 1.3, which is quite a substantial amount. But, this is huge by the way, Frost Clench now has a range of 28 fucking meters. Which means you don't need the Undaunted range taunt at the same time. Before, you would have 15 meter fucking Frost Clench, and you would have a 28 meter Undaunted skill. You'd have to slot 2 fucking skills, both costing Magicka or Stamina if you took the other morph. Otherwise, you're fucked. That, it's a staff. You can reach. 1 skill. Job done. Bear in mind, by the way, it does immobilize. So, careful. Dual Wield, Flurry. Toxicity, anyone? This ability in its morphs now hit 4 times over the channel time over 800 milliseconds, same as Puncture and Sweeps, rather than 5 times over the 600 milliseconds. Total damage remains relatively the same over the channel time. So if you are used to using the off-balance build or the toxicity build, you can switch from one to the other with no major issues because the timing and the weaving is the same. These abilities now have new animations and visual effects to match their attack cadence. Rapid Strikes. This morph now increases the damage done of the next hit by 5% per stack up from 3, resulting in approximately 2.5% overall damage increase. Reduce the base cost to 2.4 from 2.7. Why am I getting a phone call? I'm live, dude. Can't call me now. Bloodthirst. Fix an issue where the heal from this ability and was considered Magicka rather than stamina based. It was stacking wrong. Now you're going to heal like fuck. It's already insane. This ability in its morphs now last 20 seconds up from 10. So your twin slashes from your masters, dual wield, or just the skill in general. Nice. Decrease per tick. Yes, but it has got an initial hit. Rend and slash. This morph now applies hemorrhage from the initial hit's damage. That's a short duration status effect. So it will apply, but if you want to maintain it, you're going to have to cast it again, which will make your dot negative. So you have to balance that out. Blood Craze, the healing morph. This morph now heals any time the ability deals damage rather than only when the damage over time deals damage. So the initial hit will work as well. Reduce the coefficient of the match to match the damage over time coefficient as well. So obviously that's going to balance out as far as your damage versus heals are concerned. You can still use it, just that you need an ice tank to gain the 28 meter taunt range. Correct. Blade Cloak, 20 seconds. Again, standardization for all damage over time. This is a fucking game changer. Again, the initial post that Gillian put out was trying to underline that they found the gap. They found the gap between lower DPS and higher DPS. The gap was overcomplicating things for people that can't do really, really complex rotations and trying to copy their best friends on the internet and just couldn't keep up, and light attack weaving. Now, rotations don't need to be that complicated to maintain damage over a long period of time. It could just be a couple of dots and just spam for 30 seconds. The difference is, can you weave? If you can, you weaving and spamming is going to put you above the other one. If you can't, it's going to put you here rather than here, because the timers are longer, you have to activate skills less. Makes sense. But we'll see how it works on the PTS anyway, because it might be a complete negative. It might fuck up. Increase the damage per tick of this ability and a quick cloak by 7%. Please take a video of your reaction when you see the Rapid Strikes new animation of your first time. I don't take requests, but I'm going to use it. Reduce the damage per tick of this morph by approximately 41%. Fucking hell. Also, 10 seconds up from 4 for the speed boost. Resto Staff. Grant Healing. This ability in its morphs now heal every 2 seconds up from 10 rather than once every second over 8. Again, single target heals have been reduced a little bit because they're easier to apply. However, increase the tick by 100%. Well, they went back on that one, didn't they? But then again, not so much, because this is 8 seconds, so 8 ticks. This is 2 seconds over 10, so there's 5 ticks instead of 8. Jet Primus, see that, dude? I've got a really itchy nose now. I'm trying not to sneeze. My fucking fan is getting to me. My voice is getting really hoarse, or it feels like it, and dry, and the fan is just blowing dust and shit in my eyes. Are you going to go into the PTS today when you are done with the patch notes? Sheer curiosity. I tend to not tell people what I am or am not doing, or are not doing, whichever. It's kind of just watch and find out. But today, probably not, because I've already been here for the best part of 3 hours and I've still got loads to go through.
Winning. I love winnings. Drinks all around.
Thank you for the follow, much appreciated. And also, I'm in some very unhealthy conditions. This is like 32 fucking degrees right now with the computer either side of me. It's fucking hot. Where are we? This morph now adds 10 seconds of the duration up from 4. This morph no longer increases healing done. Healing Springs, this morph now increases your magical recovery by up to 15 for every target healed, stacking up to 20 times, rather than restoring 30 magicka for every target healed. Regeneration, reduce the healing per tick of this ability by 40%. Rapid regen, this morph now also increases healing done by up to 50% on targets with under 100% health. So, obviously, low health, big heals. Xynode works in an industrial blast furnace. You're not wrong, dude. Slow roasted Xy, anyone? It's happening, mate. I have to keep taking breaths. I'm running out of breath. Carve. Reduce the damage per tick of this morph damage over time by approximately 40%. But the thing is, you have to consider that can hit multiple fucking targets. So it's already insane. Crit charge. Stampede. This morph now ticks every 2 seconds, but it does last 20 rather than every second over 15. Decrease the damage per tick by 33%. Well, there's a 25% increase on the duration. There are 10 ticks over the duration rather than what would normally be 15. You're going to see a difference, but it's not going to be game-changing because you're still going to proc your fucking glyph off the back bar if you're using it there, or the front bar, every single time for 20 whole seconds, which is insane. In the convection oven for us, indeed. So I need a liquid-cooled gimp suit to stream in. Dude, you got some weird fucking fetishes. Get out. 115 degrees Fahrenheit where I live. Great. Having a hot temperature where you live is awesome. But when you're trying to entertain 500 people for 3 hours straight so far, with everything enclosed, with a green screen, a sofa, and a curtain, with a fan that isn't doing any fucking work, with a big bright light in front of you, with a computer either side of your legs, in a fucking southern-faced double-glazed window room with no air, different story. You could go and sit outside if you wanted to. Don't, because you'll miss the stream, but you could.
I love winnings. Drinks all around.
I have friends in the UK. Again, it depends on your situation. My situation is I'm stuck in this seat doing this, which is great, but it's fucking hot for me. I can't just open a door or just open a window because for the sake of the microphone and the people watching, outside don't need to hear this shit and you don't need to hear that shit because they're fucking noisy. Very unprofessional to have your windows wide open and let a crack then scream down the microphone. Unlucky fried eye, indeed. So I know, yeah, it's hot here too. Yeah, but you're not doing this. Where are we? Heavy armor. No, Wreck and Blow. Oh, Force Felix. We missed that one. Increases splash damage as passive from 50 to 100 of the damage done with a light or heavy attack up from 25 to 50. So splash lights and heavies, great. You should buy one of those beer hats and replace it with the water bottles. Uppercut, Wreck and Blow. Increase the duration of Empower to 5 seconds up from 3. Somewhat irrelevant depending on some of the sets and bonuses and skills you use. But, I mean, on its own, if you don't have the other stuff, great. Resolve. Fix an issue where the passive bonus armor could fail to contribute to abilities or effects that use physical or spell resistance to scale in many cases, as it was looking at your current target's information to derive its values rather than its own. So there are situations and sets that will give you buffs and bonuses depending on your resistances. That particular passive was busted. That's working. Soul Trap. This ability and Consuming Trap morph now lasts 20 seconds. That is fucking broken. If they don't change the next bit. Reduce the damage per tick of all versions of the skill approximately 23%. That's not a problem. That's not a problem. Okay, so for those of you that don't understand the morph, consuming trap, if you put that on a target and it dies while it's persisting, while it's still there, you'll get 20% of all 3 resources back. Health, magic, and stamina. Every single target. And it's not restricted to 1. You can cast it on 10 or 3 or 1. It's up to you. With that being a 10-second cast or duration time at the moment, it's quite... I don't want to say easy, but if you can multitask, you can maintain that. But sometimes it might fall off. 20-second duration? Add pull. ... Spin to win all fucking day. Back all your resources. That's nuts. So I would never do that. He's got a rep to protect. I do. I know it's bloody hot. It was 35 degrees with 80% humidity yesterday for you. Yeah, it was for us too. It's fucking insane. I think Sunday is supposed to be like 32 outside, which means basically this room will hit about 37, 38 while streaming. So yeah, basically I could die on stream, which would be nice. My card, what the fuck? You're fine, Jimbo, don't worry. Soul Split and Trap. This morph no longer reduces the damage done per tick of the skill and instead cuts the base duration in half. So that'll last 10 seconds because the base duration has got up to 20. El Scorchio, indeed. Infector's Claws, Werewolf. This ability in its morphs now lasts 20 seconds up from 10. Fantastic. Reduce the damage per tick by 17%. Who cares? Claws of Life morph. Reduce the amount of healing based on this damage done from its morphs down to 66%, down from 100, since it can instantly apply an area of effect and provide significantly more healing than other morphs. Well, the thing is, if you do swing at multiple targets, you are going to benefit, so it's fine. Claws of Anguish. This morph now causes the entire ability to apply the disease status effect rather than only the initial hit, decay, and rot. So Werewolf slightly changed. Bear in mind, people, while I'm whinging about this shit, you could open a door or you could open a window and you could go outside and you might be enjoying aircon. We don't have that here. It's not a competition. Just appreciate this is not fucking easy. Trap Beast. I knew this was going to get changed. I'm going to fucking sneeze as well. No sneezing on stream. I will get off the camera if I have to sneeze. I think it's gone. Maybe. Okay, we're good. Increase the duration of its ability and it's more to 20 seconds, up from 15. Saw that coming. And 10 seconds for the 10 second of the what? Increase duration of the ability and it's more set to 20 seconds, up from 15 for the trap and 10 for the triggered effects. Reduce the damage by 25%. They had to do that. Barb Trap. This morph now times is by 10 the chance of applying hemorrhage status effect rather than increasing the duration. This means the initial hit will have a 50% chance of applying it rather than 5. The damage over time will have a 30% chance to tick instead of 3. Oh, wow. So that's happening. Mage's Guild Entropy increased to 20 seconds. Knew that was coming. Reduction 23. Not surprised. Increase the coefficient of the healing proportion of this morph down to 9% to match the damage coefficient. Scalding Rune. Increase the duration of this morph and its damage by 22 seconds, up from 12. See, that's where things start changing a bit. You want to standardize stuff, and then you give a skew-if number like 22 seconds. Alter the damage accordingly to make it last as long as all the rest of the damage over time. I appreciate it's got an initial burst, so 2 seconds pop, so that might be what they're considering. But when we're talking about teaching players how long an active cast will last, you gone over it there. But regardless, it's still higher. Reduce the damage per tick by 12%. What we do, it's got a pop anyway. Sigil Order Accelerate. Increase the base cost of this ability and it's morphed to 4k from 3.7. Increase the duration of Minor Force to 20 seconds, up from 12. Good, because quite honestly, I don't use that as much as others do because I have other stuff to use. But the duration was a bit poo, so 20 seconds does make sense. Now this will cause channel acceleration Minor Force to triple to 60 seconds. Now as well, instead of tripling to 36. That's a very long timer on Minor Force. That's huge. Brace Against Time. Increase the duration of the snare and immobilization. Immunity for 4 seconds, up from 2. That's the same as the Flappy Wings and, of course, the Birdie Flap from the Warden. Necrotic Orb even. This ability and Mystic Orb now deal damage every 2 seconds, over 20, rather than once every 10. Reduce the movement speed of those abilities to 0.6 meters per second, down from 1.5, so just over half, to make it easier to hit targets with. Increase the damage by 28%. That's fucking huge. Mystic Orb now increases your health, magicka, and stam recovery by up to 100 while it's active, rather than increasing damage done by 20%. Energy Orb. This morph retains the original duration, movement speed, and tick rate. This morph now ticks 1 extra time over its duration, and reduce the healing per tick by 1%. Okay, well, the recovery bonus is fucking insane, so whatever. It's gonna be weird seeing a really slow moving bubble, because the tanks will be like, bubble me. And you're like, today. And it's gonna move really, really fucking slow. Like, I'll get the synergy in a minute. Nearly. Any minute now. And they fucking recast it and you have to wait for it again. That would be hilarious. Assault. Caltrops. This ability in its morphs now tick every 2 seconds over 20 seconds rather than 10 seconds. The damage per tick has been increased by 33%. Fix an issue where these abilities have failed to apply their effects when cast at long ranges when under the effect of range enhanced bonuses, because it is a long range ability, so you could get bonuses from the keep or from the bubble. This morph now increases duration of the effect by 10 seconds up from 4. This does have an issue at the moment. If it appears on PTS, I'll report it. But basically, Caltrops, or Razor Caltrops, is supposed to hit every target in area of effect, uncapped. But the debuff, the major breach, is supposed to only attack 6, because any debuff ability attacks 6. The dot's supposed to hit all, the debuff hits 6. And yes, you can get a minor from that as well. However, that particular skill is only hitting 6. So that's a bit busted. Siege Shield. Fix an issue where this ability and its morphs would end early. Okay. Oh, Miss Vigor. This ability now has 10 seconds at base, up from 8. Reduce the healing per tick of this ability and Echo and Vigor by 17%. Echo and Vigor and its morph now extends the duration up to 6 seconds, up from 2. And Resolve and Vigor reduce the healing per tick on this morph by 22%, but the morph now also grants major resolve for 20 seconds after casting. That is fucking nuts. Wow. Echoing gives a heal to the group. Resolving gives you a resistance buff. Dirty. Waiting to get the bubble is to feel like waiting for your pizza to be delivered. Italian salad. Champion points. Wayfair.
I love winnings. Drinks all
Force
around.
of Nature. Thank you for the follow, by the way. Force of Nature. Reduce the amount of armor penetration this node gives to 660 per status effect, down from 900.
I love winnings.
Again,
Drinks
thank
all
you for
around.
the follow. So this lines up with resistance bonuses. If you're not too familiar with mitigation and how resistances work, every 660 resistances is 1%. What they've basically done here is allowed you to strip the enemy of 1% resistances per stack, or per bonus of whatever this fucking is. Fix an issue where the node did not properly work with many status effects and could lose effectiveness with some status effects, such as chilled, if the named buff provided the status effect was overridden by a longer duration version. Weapons Expert. This passive now increases light and heavy attack damage by 4%, up from 3 per stage even. I'm getting really fucked up sinuses with this fan. We're nearly there. So, while all the light and heavy attack stuff is now a basic stat, this is still a percentage increase, which could be stronger than it already is based on the way it's calculated, depending on how you build. Not going to go over companions. Fuck me, we've got gear. Okay, consumables. Ravage health potions. Fix an issue where the potion affix was not correctly labeled as a proc and could trigger many other sets and events that checked for damage dealing. Procs are not supposed to proc procs. Thank you for the drop site. You are most welcome. Procs are not supposed to proc procs. Poisons and potions, do consider that. Oops. Charged trait. Reduce the maximum value to 365, down from 480. I'm going to be honest. I was enjoying the 480, but I will agree that it was fucking too high. Since it's a buff, this trait has Eclipse in niche category it once was part of, where it was beating out other traits even if you were using 2 status effects. The new value should now have its trait this trait be much closer in power to others when using 2 status effects, with potential to still eclipse with using more. So the more status effects, the better. But if you're only using a couple, not going to be that different to maybe sharpened and precise or whatever. Ability altering weapons. Grand Rejuvenation. This set now restores 224 magicka and stamina 4 times over 6 seconds rather than 117 over 5. Sorry, 5 times over 4. Master's Charge. This set deals damage every 2 for 10 rather than every 1 for 8. With reduction to damage.
I love winnings. Drinks all around.
Thank you very much. Blood Moon. This set now increases damage of your light attacks by 2050 while active, rather than 55%. Iron Blood. This set now grants major protection, major Aegis, minor protection for 10 seconds when it activates, rather than reducing the damage taken by a unique 30% buff. So that was major protection originally. Then they changed it and you could stack it with major protection, and now they're giving you actual buffs. So prior to this, you could basically just put on major Aegis on a set with minor protection and still benefit from major protection without actually putting down a skill. But yeah, it's altered. Reduce the snare potency to 25% down from 50. Good. And reduce the cooldown to 10 seconds down from 15. Fuck me. You could have that permanent. That's nuts. Although most major protection, minor protection things are for the group, unless it's a passive. Most major protection things are for the group. Most major Aegis things are for the group. So basically, if you're using this, you're not giving any of those buffs to the group. You're just giving them to you. So if you want those, the whole set's going to do it for you, which is pretty cool. When we did the major and minor balance past years past, we intentionally left this set alone to try to make sure the curse aspect of the set was justified. But we're seeing this set enable far too much mitigation with not much penalty. Rather than increasing the curse further and running the risk of making the set inaccessible outside of incredibly niche scenarios, we've instead adjusted 2 named bonuses to their similar power with more accessibility, as we can ease back the curse as well. Lady, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. I need to get some tissue for nose. Hold on. I have to have the fan on, otherwise I can't fucking breathe. But then at the same time, it's blasting fucking dust up my nose. Excuse me. Noble Duelist Strikes. We knew this was coming. This set now increases your damage done with light and heavy attacks against monsters by 2110, rather than increasing their weapon and spell damage scaling, since they don't have any scaling.
I love winnings.
This,
Drinks
by the way,
all around.
is melee range only. If you're not in 5 meter range, never going to fire it. Savage Werewolf. This item set only procs off light attacks when you are within melee range of your enemy. Again, same applies. Instead of any light attacks or heavy attacks from range. Thank you for the follow. This set now ticks every 2 seconds instead of every 1 to reduce situations where it can tick twice instantly. Note that it still continues to tick instantly upon application, which is intended.
Winning. I love winnings. Drinks all around.
Thank you for the follow. Let's see. This set's trade secret of proccing off of each light and heavy instantly, while intentional was created situations where it could produce some pretty oppressive results when utilized from range or with channeled heavy attacks, rather than harming the intended synergy of the set with a light attack focused build. We've restricted it to only affect the intended build types instead. Keep in mind that this set can still proc off ranged focused light attacks such as bows or staves, as it requires you to be within melee range when attacking, rather than outright excluding those weapons. So again, melee range, 5 meters, unless you're a DK, in which case it's 7. Sergeant's Mail. This set has been reworked to now grant you a stack of Sergeant's Focus for 5 seconds whenever you deal damage with a heavy attack, increasing the damage of your heavy attack by 645 per stack. Nice. Basically, not far short of 3k. This effect can occur once every half a second and stacks up to 4 times. When you do damage with a heavy attack, it doesn't say fully charged heavy attack, so you should be able to get ticks from that from a lightning staff or a resto. We're moving the focus of this set to be on heavy attack to aid the flexibility of the use case of the set, so more builds can engage with it, while also reducing its potential on front-loaded burst sets. Okay, fine. Undaunted Infiltrator and Unweaver. These sets now increase your damage done with light attacks and heavy attacks against monsters by, see, it didn't say players, by 1, 6, 4, 5, rather than increasing their weapon and spell damage scaling. I can never say that. Kagade or Kagadea? I don't know how to fucking say it. Fix an issue where this set's damage was not properly increasing the area of effect argument effects. Mythic items. Oaken Soul. Oh no. This set now grants the minor versions of Courage, Berserk, Force, Protection, and Heroism rather than the major versions. This set now also grants minor mending. What did I tell you? What did I... Mike? Mike? Are you there? Mike, check. 1, 2. What did I tell you that was going to happen because of the way that the game is designed and because of the way that people intend for the audience or the player base to receive these mythical items? What did I tell you? The soon as masses of people force something to be a must, they'll nuke it. Not because there's necessarily anything wrong with the set, but because the design of the game is to give you choice. The design of the Antiquities was to give everyday players, including those that want to be solo all the time, options and achievements and things that they could find by digging up treasure. It was not designed for OP, one way or no way situations where everyone must have it or else. So, if a mythic item is great in a situation, no problem. If a mythic item is used by every single person in the same fucking group, problem. So they nuke it. Can we zoom in a bit, please? No, we cannot. I'm reading it anyway. You can, yes. You can do this on your screen and zoom in. I mean, if you want to read the text, but I'm reading it anyway. That's the point in the live stream reading. I've run out of a solo character and I'm fine with the change. There you go. So, this was negating the point of putting on your own buffs and bonuses and all that kind of stuff, and you just slapped loads of fucking DPS skills on 5 slots, and that's it. Look great on a dummy, not so good in content, but at least you had the buffs and bonuses. Now, you're going to have to bring your own shit. Elder Scolls is the only enough I agree with. Anything. Thracians. Oaken fuck. Ring of the Pale Order. All that kind of stuff. As soon as a mythic item becomes one of those situations where someone decides to say, my whole trial group must use this. Soon as someone says that, it's now an insignificant fucking item because it's going to get nuked. It's supposed to be specific situations. Do you know what Oaken Soul Ring was designed for? It was designed for choice. It was designed as an option for those people that struggled with using 2 bars. Because that is the base game design. You have 2 bars, but some people do struggle with it. The devs know this. And for those people, don't worry, here's some stuff. You won't fall behind the pack, and you can still play how you want. It wasn't supposed to be, pick this up, nuke everything with it, because we don't need those buffs and bonuses anymore, because we've got them anyway. It was supposed to be helpful. You can only use 1 bar? Exactly. Here we go. And now that I've said that, we're going to read the spoilers from the devs and see how close that is. The original intent of the set was to improve accessibility of 1 bar builds by providing many bonuses that you would get from running extra abilities on your back bar. And a few other named sources that may come from coordinated groups to help make up for the flexibility and specialization loss of having only 5 abilities, choices instead of 10. While we did see the suggestions we're incorporating now, we didn't want to go too hard on the set after the heavy nerfs to the original form without some more concrete mimics and evidence, which we have gathered since update 34 had launched. We now feel comfortable that a set will still be incredibly impactful as its target audience, but in a much more balanced way. That's basically what I just told you. They had an intention. It was over-abused. Now they want to make sure that the intention is still there, but they had to balance it a bit so it wasn't used by absolutely fucking everyone. Dark Convergence, PvP. Increase the cooldown of the set to 25 seconds. RIP. up from 15 to help reduce the frequency in which it can introduce ultimate like effects in the battlefield. Again, Lazy Tank is built for a very specific reason. Regardless of how many people tried to meme the shit out of it, that build is more effective than the side effect versions, and now it's been fucking nuked again. Didn't use exact words, therefore wrong. Shut up, Jimbo. Nobody cares what you say. Rip Broken Soul? No, it's not ripped at all. It's actually still very, very powerful. You might just have to bring your own buffs for your group. So you've got all that shit by yourself. Put resistance buff on if you want. And in a group scenario, you still benefit from those buffs as well. So now you've got all the minor shit, and you can still get the major, rather than having some of the major and having to find the gaps for all the rest of it. You knew this was coming. Hrothgar's Chill. This set's damage can no longer be blocked. Ouch. We knew this was coming because of the cleanse set. So you have to be very, very specific about how you time this now. Strategy needs to be applied. Plague Break. This set now has a cooldown of 20 seconds per target rather than only against targets that do not already have the dot on them. Oops. This set can now proc on multiple enemies with a singular attack. That's nasty. So you could splash damage with the lightning stuff or some shit like that. Reduce the damage over time by approximately 48%. But this damage can now critically strike as it does not have ingrained modifiers built into it. Increase the damage by explosions by approximately 3%. And the damage of the set now always applies the disease status effect. So they can't heal very well. So for the update, no matter what the change is, indeed. So this set is being run in far too many situations. Outside of it, look at this. This statement here underlines exactly what I said about the Oaken Soul Ring and about things in general. And this is something you should take away with you as your own knowledge and own awareness of how the developers actually work and how sets from one patch to another can change based on their hype. So read this very carefully. This set is being run in far too many situations outside of its target audience. That means the design has an intention for certain playstyles, certain scenarios, etc., but instead, everyone and their dog are fucking using it and abusing it. If it becomes too popular, it deletes the idea of choice, so they'll roll back on it. Should have been buried deeper than Oaken Soul, in my opinion. It's still fucking 25 seconds is a long time, dude. The set was made to punish groups that are stacking purges in tight groups. That was the intention. So, if that's confusing, there's a dev's explanation as to what it was for. But due to the current nature of the set, it is punishing those who are not using cleanse either as a dot to, who aren't using a cleanse either as the dot is dealing sizable damage and has no downtime. With the cooldown window, we hope to introduce more counterplay to set by giving a window of safety from becoming a carrier again from time. So you could basically just reapply, be a pain in the fucking ass. Now there's a gap, so you've got some freedom, you've got some counterplay, you've got some time to think. Where do we go? While still retaining the pain for those who are purging or dying too close together. Still have almost 2 months to abuse the magic ring. You do. This is true. Trial sets, Reliquin, fix an issue where the set's visuals are not appearing. Half the damage, introduce crits, stop making it an obscure set. Just saying. Alliance War, we're not going to go too much into that. Not because it's PvP, but because this is all XP based stuff. It's interesting, as is the audio, as is the crafting and economy, but we really want to go over all the base stuff. Combat stuff is what I meant. We can't see any of this stuff because that's new or fixed. Quests and zones, that's subjective to individuals rather than overall. Fix an issue where previewed weapon or spell damage of character UI wouldn't be correct, specifically while hovering over the weapon for your primary weapon and weapon slot is empty. Fix the UI error to occur while respecking from werewolf form. Okay, fine. That's pretty much it. I think we're done. So, overall, not massively surprised with what they've done with it. Anticipated quite a bit of it over time, over the last couple of years or so, especially the hybridization of things. previous to this, and then the fall off, if you like, of the final kind of combat changes that we're now sort of receiving. We're not there yet. It could change. It's done by one, indeed. It could change at any moment. We've got like 4 or 5 weeks usually for the next update. So every week on a Monday, keep an eye on the forum, not necessarily for the posts, but for this here, for the update, not the overall chats about it, but another one of these will happen every Monday. So you can see how they're doing with the PTS, whether anything needs adjusting or not. And then on the final day of actually release, you'll then see what they've done overall, and that's what you're actually getting. So all of the stats, all of the sets, all of the changes, everything that you've just seen there, everything that I've just read through, could be different on release. Was hydration a plan, or it went in the other direction? Hybridization a plan, or did it went? No, that was the plan. That was their design, Buddha. Sorry if that's confusing. I need my PTS patch notes and the world ending drama in my life. I know you do, Alfonso. I know you love the forums. I've met Alfonso, actually. Very cool dude. Just bear in mind, while it might be scary, change is necessary. If you want this game to continue, it has to have changes. It has to progress. It has to improve. It has to adapt, alter, evolve, whatever. If we didn't have this, the game would be dead fucking 5 years ago. Just remember, on release, and I know the ESO fucking team are listening to this from ZeniMax, on release, the game was shit. Now look at it. Now it is fucking thriving. And shit like this is important for its fucking future. If you don't like stuff, test it, find out what you don't like about it, tell the devs why. That is how you put forward feedback. Always say why you don't like something. Don't be a fucking brobot or a statistic or a sheep or an absolute fucking drone on the internet and just go, this is shit, fix it. Honestly, that just makes you a wanker. That's not going to help. If you don't like something, that is okay. You don't have to like it. But at least give them the reason why. Because then they can gauge it from your perspective and theirs at the same time and see what the problem actually is, rather than you just bitching. I will test the fuck out of this on PTS. There will be videos on YouTube. There will be stuff in Secret Ninja Chat on Patreon. But so far, I can see where they're going with it. There's a couple of things that I don't like the look of. Most of it I do. But even the stuff I don't like the look of, I'm still going to test the fuck out of it and see if I'm right or wrong anyway. Because that's the point in the PTS in the first place. So, hopefully panic over. Test it for yourselves if you can. Get onto PTS on PC. If you don't know how to get on there, by the way, if you are on PC, when the launcher comes up, there's a little drop-down menu, a little arrow that points down. And you can go to the options there, and it will allow you to install the PTS. And then just under where Elder Scolls Online normally is, there'll be another option for you to just log in. So go to the drop-down menu on the launcher. You can install it there. Anyway, people, I do have to go. It's been a fucking long day. I am stupidly fucking hot right now. It's ridiculous in here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your patience. Ignore the salties. There's only been a couple today. It's actually been pretty good. If you're not following on Twitch or subscribing on YouTube, obviously do hit those buttons. They are free. Furthermore, if you want to help support outside the channel, there are some links in the info section for Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, the website xynodegaming.com, where all the written guides are. Fuck tons of articles, loads of information for new players, experienced players, or somewhere in between. Loads and loads of stuff there. And of course, Instagram. Yes, I promise I will do stuff on there soon. I got a GoPro, so I can do some shit. So don't worry, that's coming. Again, we're going to do a raid, obviously. Stay for the raid. We're going to find a new streamer and give them a bit of a push. So thank you for watching, and I will see you all. Should be tomorrow, but it depends how fucking tired I am. Usually my day off is on Wednesday. Tomorrow might be different. Thank you for watching again, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Rav even. Oh my god. Dude, I'm trying to say goodnight to everyone. Thank you very, very much indeed. 942 gifted subs to the channel. Rav, you're a fucking legend, man. See you all tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
God that the brothers on the rise now. Endless celebrations all in my house. Levitating now, I'm super duper fly now. London boy, but DC where I reside now. Put the time in while you always yelling time out. And quit it, cause I know I'm coming with it. You were sitting, you were wishing I was handling my business. Now I got the ball like Harry Potter playing Quidditch. And my business is humongous, you would think that happens in there. Damn man, I'm all that, yeah, I'm all that. Working for that whip, yeah, that what you call that. I'ma blow up in the summer, have him yelling fall back. And I've always been ahead like an effing ball cap. Man, I came in the game like, whoa. Got a couple chains on me cause I like gold. They told me I'm the best and I told them I know. Cause when I'm in your town, every ticket I sold. Yeah, they saying I'm the man. Facts, bro. Facts, lot of haters. Tell me where they at, though. I'm the new pop, all I do is rap, though. Want me on your song, throw a couple stacks, yo. Woo! Everybody wanna do the same thing. That's why we ain't on the same page. Do my own thing, and I maintain. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. I'm going mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. Yeah, I'm going mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. I'm going mainstream. Mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream.